It is 10 o'clock. It is 10:01. Okay. All set? Okay, good morning. Good morning, City of MILLBRAE. Good morning, staff and City Council and guests. Welcome to our special council meeting of Saturday, May 6th. This special meeting is about goal setting. And if everyone, City Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Council Member Pappen will join us in a moment. Council Member Cahalan. Council Member Fung.
Here.
Vice Mayor Goodman.
Here.
Mayor Snyder.
Present.
4 members of the City Council are present.
Thank you. And if everyone could please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is over here in the corner. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If we have members of the public, our first item is for items that are not on today's agenda. So anything having to do with goal setting, if you could please raise your hand so the city clerk can see you if you're with us on Zoom or by phone. And we do have a member of the public. And if this is an item not on today's agenda, please join us. Make sure we have a speaker slip, which are over in the corner or at the end of the table, so we know we can get it for the minutes. Please join us. And today we're using a 1 minute for speakers because we have an incredibly full agenda.
My name is Louise Velasquez, and I'm here today to encourage... My name is Louise Velasquez, and I'm here to encourage the city to create pollinator habitats when they do any plantings, such as the police and fire station. Many times people plant drought-tolerant plants, which are not native. And we'd really like to encourage the city, which has already been a leader by planting the oaks and having a small pollinator garden, to do it in everywhere that they plant, in the parks, everywhere, and that we use drought-tolerant native plants to support our endangered butterflies and bees. So I have a list of these plants, and I'm going to provide them to you.
Thank you. Thank you. That item actually is going to show up under goal setting. And for the public, Louise always donates plants from Annie's nursery for the plant sales, so thank you. Any other hands raised?
No.
Okay.
Do you want to keep these or should we give them to you later?
Thank you. Okay. Today's goal setting, this is our first goal setting back in person, and we have structured over the years for MILLBRAE our goals under 6 initiatives. And I believe we have from City Council 84 different goals across the 6 initiatives, and we've got 3 hours today. So hopefully we will get certain things voted on, but if we do not finish today, we'll be extending to Tuesday at 5 or 5:30, depending on the workload of what we get accomplished here today. And that's one of the reasons why public comment will be held to 1 minute. I just want to say thank you to Council for getting your goals in, and good luck to all of us today on this collaborative approach. And with that, I should give it to the city manager, and you'll introduce and talk about the process.
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Mayor. Good morning to you, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, and the community of MILLBRAE. Tom Williams, City Manager. And again, welcome to this year's City Council goal setting for the fiscal year 23-24. And as we get started, our management team is here to provide input on any questions you may have during today's discussion and goal setting, as well as our facilitator, Kathy Citron, from the consulting team. Kathy and the consulting team have helped us facilitate goals over the last several years, last 3 years, 4th year, I believe, today. So, and just some housekeeping things in front of you in your desk. You've got notes, paper, pens, copy of the PowerPoint, stickers for later when you're working with Kathy. But if there's anything else you need, just let us know, and we'll be happy to get that for you. And as the mayor said, we do have a busy agenda today, so we want to be as efficient as possible. But if we do end up needing more time, MCTV is ready to go, staff is ready to go on Tuesday, starting 5:30, whatever the desire of the city council may be, if we need to continue this to conclude next Tuesday evening. So again, just some opening remarks. I mean, we've come a long way with evolving and setting goals over the past several years. As the city council moved from really identifying a few tasks to establishing a clear vision and direction of the city by adopting the 6 major strategic initiatives. The SI strategic initiatives, you're probably all familiar with it, is basically our navigational beacon, right? It's a compass for which goals are guided. We'll get into this in a few minutes, and before I do, I wanted to just kind of go over again why municipalities exist, what the functions are of a city. And cities primarily exist for the delivery of infrastructure. So safe water, sanitary sewer, roads, storm drains. Also for the orderly development and build out of land. That includes establishing zoning laws, designating land uses. For example, New York City, when zoning first existed, it was because there were a whole lot of horse stables before the invention of the car, and those horse stables stunk. And they were right next to residential. So zoning was created to move those horse stables away from the residential and create zones for which orderly development and quality of life could exist. So city council sets those rules through local ordinances, which are land use laws and other laws. Cities deliver public safety services, finance functions for the expenditure and accountability of tax and ratepayer funds. You establish parks and open space and other quality of life experiences. And by law, cities must have and fund a planning department and building function. By law, they must have an engineering and public works function, including all the maintenance that goes with the safe delivery of infrastructure. Finance and auditing functions that we manage, allocate and account for taxes and other revenues. And again, like I said, the public safety function, right? Police and fire. And now where this city's emerged, and I think where we've learned over the years, that also now includes a social services component. And so here in MILLBRAE, as you know, we've worked effectively with Life Moves. So for those people that don't break the law, but still need assistance, I consider that public safety. And we're thinking of new ways and innovative ways to provide that service. You must have a city clerk, Elaine Tran by law. I know you guys aren't going to like this, but you must have a city manager by law and a city attorney. So that's all required by law. But we do so much more than that, right? I mean, as a city, we do so much more by providing parks and open space. Economic development, not required by law, but such a key element for cities to thrive and survive. Cultural advancement and activities such as all the festivals and events to improve our quality of life, help educate and make MILLBRAE a great place to live, visit, and operate a business. And over this past several years, especially with the storms, I like to bring up, thought about it this morning, that song, New York, New York, that line that a city never sleeps. I think that they need to change New York and put MILLBRAE in there, because we are truly a city that never sleeps, with our Public Works Department out 24 hours, 7 days a week. Obviously, our public safety folks, even our city clerk, working, tirelessly to deliver quality service. And the great thing is we're motivated, we like it, and we enjoy it. And so it's a good thing. And City Council, your job is hard. It's extremely hard. Sometimes it's thankless, I think, as you all know, but it's also one of the most rewarding things that you'll ever do in shaping and guiding a city and moving things forward in a positive direction. As you've heard me say, and I've told the staff, and I'll tell you, you're going to get sick of me saying it over and over and over again, we've got $10 in need and $1 of revenue. And when you have your constituency calling you every day, hey, my road needs paved, we need this, we need better storm drain facilities, hey, there's a broken bench at the park. All of this goes into what we do together, right? As you set the vision and we implement it. And we're here as your staff and your professional staff to help guide that and make things happen. And that's why today with Kathy, prioritizing today is going to be extremely important because we have launched our goals in the past, and goals don't fit into one calendar year, 12 months. There's a lot of things that are on our plate that we continue to do that we'll add to. And so Kathy will tell you, we're going to take these 85 goals and try to get them down to 15. I know that's a lot, but that's the goal. So keep in mind the legal requirements are limiting resources, but you tell us where we want to go, and I'm confident that we'll be able to get there. The very first time I had a goal setting with the City Council and I looked at the 5 tasks that they had previously, I asked the question, a big blow up, onward to where? So now the theme is onward together. A lot of times you may have differing opinions, different ideas, different thoughts, but we're together. We are a team for the greater good of the city. There's a lot of knowledge and wisdom up here at this table with our elected officials and staff, and together we can do it. We can keep moving forward and have great success. So as we turn to the agenda, unless there are any questions of the council at this point, agenda pretty straightforward. Just a quick reading of the mission statement and our strategic initiatives, review of the 22-23 goals and accomplishments, and then just a review of some of the current issues, trends, and constraints facing us. And it's not an exhaustive list, but it just is there to kind of, put that out in front and kind of get everybody's minds flowing a little bit on the current trends and constraints. And then I think, Mayor, you'll open it up for public comment in case anybody has public comment on that. Then we can take a little break. Then I'll hand it over to Kathy for the remainder lion's share of the day to take you through goals and priorities. We also will have lunch coming in. It'll just be sandwiches and stuff. And so, depending on, Mayor, the desire of the council, get up, get sandwiches, and kind of have a working session as we progress. So as I mentioned, the mission statement of the city, and it was adopted July 8, 2014, and I still think it's very much valid today. And it's enhancing the quality of life in our shared community, providing services, encouraging community engagement, fostering economic growth, and embracing cultural diversity in a safe environment. Then we move to the discussion about strategic initiatives versus goals and tasks. So what is a strategic initiative? As I said, it's that overarching kind of guiding beacon for the city. It's a vision that's translated into practice that's aligned with the organization's day-to-day operational activities. And it's to have a 30,000, 60,000 foot level to achieve our targeted performance year in and year out. And, it is our overarching objective versus a goal. A goal is an observable and measurable end result, something that we're aiming at, right, that fits under those strategic initiatives. And then there's a task. Well, there are many tasks that are associated with delivering goals, right? So work plans, there's many tasks. And that's an identifiable and essential piece of the job to make sure that we can achieve that goal. So as we move forward, turn to slide 5, there are 6 strategic initiatives that have been adopted by the City Council. First is to define the MILLBRAE community of tomorrow, the built environment. As I mentioned, planning and building is a legal function of a city council. Sustainable city infrastructure and investment, also one of the legal requirements, is to deliver infrastructure in a safe manner, safe drinking water, the ability to flush toilets, and we know that that will be treated and served. 3, quality of life, neighborhood enhancement, and strong community. This is where our quality of life, whether it's noise issues or the day-to-day issues that we have, street trees and trimming, speeding vehicles, but also enhancing and strengthening our community through festivals and other civic engagement that we have and providing that quality of life. City government organizational success. I looked at some of the goals today, and that really for the City Council evolves. How are we structured with committees and commissions? We have some committees and commissions that were formed the day that the city was incorporated, 1948. Well, are those still relevant today? Do they still exist? Is that still a priority for the council? Or should we take a look at that and move things that are more of a modern 2023 type of city? So keep that in mind when you're thinking about our city government and how we operate. Fiscal sustainability. and we have economic development, strategic initiative number 5. Obviously, to be fiscally sustainable, economic development is a key source to that. As Mike Sung, our finance director, presented at a council meeting, kind of get an idea of all the taxes that are paid, where that's distributed, and how much does not come back to your local government. You know, property tax, we get 16 cents on the dollar. Sales tax, above 9%, we get 1% of that 9%. So economic development is critical to fiscal sustainability. And then 6, environmental stewardship. You know, obviously, from airport noise to clean water to stormwater runoff, that's all very important within our quality of life and what we do. So if there are no questions, I will turn to what we've accomplished. We've got some good things. Oh, and also the theme, like I said, onward together. Let's keep that in the forefront. I don't think just today, but as we move forward, right, together, to continue to improve a great city that we all care so much about. So this is all in the PowerPoint. You can follow along. I just figured that I could get up and...
Tom, how will the TV?
It's... Oh, do I need mine?
Yes.
Thank you.
Test.
He's turning it on. Go ahead.
Test. There we go. All right, so starting with the major accomplishments for fiscal year 22-23, and this is all organized by the strategic initiative. So starting with define the MILLBRAE community of tomorrow. So these were the goals that were established by previous councils. So complete the general plan and downtown plan. So we completed that. Part of that was this current city council, an element of the general plan is a housing element. And with the adoption of the housing element, that was sent to Housing and Community Development for state certification last week. And Andy, they've got 90 days to certify, 60 days. So within the next 60 days, we'll know if we have a certified housing element or not, and I'm hoping for good things. MILLBRAE Local Density Bonus Program, we did complete the 15% affordable housing ordinance, and that's a policy also to continue to look at that, to get that to 20 in our housing element. Historic architectural land guidelines for historic neighborhoods. This is something that's unfunded, although we did start landscape guidelines. It has to do with artificial turf direction of the city council and those policies. So there's a component of that's in process, but the actual architectural guidelines are unfunded. Infrastructure improvements, sewer, water, storm, and streets. All of this every day is a work in progress. I mean, with our Public Works and City Engineering Department, obviously the capital improvement budget that will be coming to the City Council here shortly, that's ongoing. But we did have a major water tank replacement, very critical to the health and safety of our water system. The completion date, Sam, I know there's an update because we had some rain delay. It said May. Is it June? So next month, and we'll have a nice ribbon cutting for that because it's a significant infrastructure project. Our downtown plan and reimagining in El Camino, we completed this as part of the downtown specific plan adoption recently. Then our strategic initiative number 2, sustainable city and infrastructure investment. Recycle water plan and improvements. We'd received $800,000 from Congresswoman Jackie Spears' office to move forward and complete the engineering design for that. And I know the mayor, when she was back in Washington, D.C., made a lot of headway with the WIFIA program and contacts that we will need to get some significant funding. It's about $65 million is today's 2023 estimate on converting our sewer treatment plant to recycled water. Accountability measures and schedule of city projects. Well, we implemented the C-Click Fix, now known as MILLBRAE Works, right? Where people can come in, we have a metric that we can, or a series of metrics that we can identify. Improve street, roads, medians, especially on El Camino. This is an ongoing work in progress. We actually just met with the landscape architectural firm that we retained to start the design for the median improvements along El Camino and one section of MILLBRAE Avenue just to the west of El Camino Real. Expand the parking authority. So that was completed. The City Council just adopted the citywide expansion of the parking authority at their last meeting. Then nature-based solutions to noise, air pollution, stormwater, and heat islands. So this was an unfunded project, but will be included as an element in the East Side Specific Plan once that's kicked off. The East Side Specific Plan was a policy that was adopted for implementation in the general plan at the end of last year. Strategic initiative number 3, quality of life, neighborhood enhancement, and strong community. Park improvement projects, so Bayside Manor, Marina Vista, and Mills Estates. The design and public process is underway. As a matter of fact, the 10th of this month, we have our first meeting with the community to look at some of the design concepts for both Marina Vista Park and Bayside Manor Park. Downtown police, foot patrol, and community policing, implement neighborhood watch. So we did implement the downtown foot patrol officer, kind of a part-time, just based on the staffing and utilization levels of the sheriff's office. So we're working with the sheriff's office to continue that, and also neighborhood watch program. Support all communities in need. Food insecurity, housing insecurity, and childcare. So we did expand the senior lunch program to 5 days with self-help for the elderly. They've been a terrific partner with us. I don't know where we'd be without them through the pandemic. I mean, they were just incredible delivering food. So we got a great relationship, and we expanded that. Also working with HIP Housing and HEART as the grants become available, and as we have a solid housing element to implement affordable housing programs and access to housing. And a lot of those policies have been developed in our new housing element. And so as we go through today, also keep that in mind. Some of the goals that I saw are things that are adopted policies already, and we'll help you through that as the day progresses. So the Grow the Life's Moves program. So we completely expanded the program, and we were successful in obtaining additional grant funding, as you all know, to actually continue and augment the Life Moves program through June 30th of next year. So we got a good year and a half, and I still a lot more to come on that. It's been a great program. So strategic initiative number 4, city government and organizational success, staff development and training. This is something that we continually focus on. We joined the county consortium of training. More and more of our staff are now getting involved with professional associations, going to Cal City events, American Planning Association events. Our city clerk went to the City Clerks Conference. So we're really expanding that. Create a grant team. So we did reallocate resources. We didn't hire a consultant. We just, working with the department heads and types of grants, have reallocated utilization of staff to ensure that we can be competitive, and that we have the knowledge that is putting those grants together to be more competitive. Improve our website and make sure staff is accessible and accountable. Well, staff accessible and accountable, we are, and with C-Click Fix, that's a component of that. And improve our website. Our new website, approved by the City Council. You've all seen drafts of that. We'll bring it back, but we plan on launching that this July. I know a lot of people will be happy about that, especially the public. Value multilingual staffing and access to government. So another thing that we're constantly working on, and as you know, we introduced Wardly, and I forgot to mention in my opening statements that we do have Wardly that's up and running for this meeting today, both online, and anybody in the audience that would like translation services, you can just use your smartphone and go to the QR code, and this Wordly app will pop up, and then it's self-explanatory on being able to hear in translation of multiple languages. We also still have, in larger meetings, if we have requests for actual people to come in and provide real-time translation, we have a company that we still work with that's available if we ever need that on request. So strategic initiative number 5, fiscal sustainability and economic development. So ballot measure for transient-oriented tax increase. This is the hotel tax. So we prepared that for the voters, a 2% increase from 12 to 14%. And the voters of MILLBRAE adopted that by 80% in November of last year. So thank you to the voters. Development impact fees for public art, climate resiliency, and child care. So this is unfunded. And the reason why it's unfunded, it's not just that I can bring it to the city council and you adopt a fee. By law, there's studies that have to be conducted known as nexus studies. So pretty detailed studies to say when we bring a fee, the fee charged is there's a nexus, there's a relationship of the fee charge and what we want to accomplish. And so there needs to be a plan, public art, climate resiliency, child care, kind of master plans developed, so then we can say, okay, here's what's been adopted by the city council, here's the amount of fees that we need to collect to implement that. Enhance the parking authority and parking strategies citywide. like I said, you adopted the citywide parking authority, and we have a parking study that's in progress as we speak. Full-blown parking study. Downtown Business Association, advocating for downtown and business improvement. This was unfunded. This is something, that I don't want to guide the council here because it's your goal setting, but I think that getting our consultant back to look at the formation of business improvement district is of critical importance. Public and political support for a target at Office Depot. There's an approved mixed-use development project that's been approved on the Office Depot site. The timing for that, Trammell Crow is the name of the developer. They plan on demolishing that project sometime in the fall. So they're all approved, and all of their plans are in plan check for their building permit. And then Strategic Initiative 6, Environmental Stewardship. So the East Side Water Retention, Noise Abatement, Bay Trail, Endangered Species, Climate Resiliency, Conceptual Drawings. Hydrology studies are in process. Work by the city led to SFO and the community and the congresswoman and everybody literally took an act of Congress to get SO to finally clear the Lomita Canal. There's still a lot of work that they need to do, but their permit from the resource agencies gives them a 5-year permit from August to the end of October because there are endangered species in the area, but to go out there and clear the canal during those months. Encourage building electrification. We completed that. The City Council adopted the REACH codes. This building is 100% electrical. We're working with PCE on the solar power installation, and in the next probably, Sam, 2-3 months, that project will be under construction. Thereabouts. So we're waiting. I mean, I'm not throwing PCE under the bus. We're just waiting for them to get the final solar panel. Okay. So that's coming. That's all planned, ready to go. Also, I think, as you know, with the REACH codes, the new biotech campus, both of those campuses are the first fully electric biotech campuses in the country. And so that's pretty exciting. Include electric vehicle superchargers and access. So we did install supercharging stations at the library and the 400-block parking lot on Broadway, and certainly more to come. Building codes are changing that is requiring this, so it's going to be a standard program for all new development. Building code amendments for dual plumbing to use recycled water for toilets and major development projects. So this was unfunded. This also kind of is a long-term thing as we get recycled water, which we're probably a decade away, quite frankly, even though we're starting that work now to get that funded and get it under construction. Achieve net zero in common area electrical usage in new development. So adoption of the REACH codes and the recreation center. Once we get solar panels, the analysis is that this building will be net zero, somewhere between 95-97% to net zero, depending on the amount of energy used. And then lastly, before I hand it over to Kathy, I just wanted other major accomplishments. So even with all the council goals, every day, our staff is out there working, keeping the city running, right? And stuff that I think, a lot of citizens throughout every city just take for granted, pothole fixing, street light timing, public safety issues that come up. But we did open this new recreation center in June, big ribbon cutting of last year. We processed the 850,000 square foot biotech campus, managed the plan check and building inspection of the Gateway project that opened a few weeks ago. Think about it. Every nail, every bolt, every screw, every piece of rebar has to be reviewed and physically checked by building inspectors. So, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a big job. Staff engagement and training. We've really worked hard to just not only on-the-job training, but like I mentioned, joining the county consortium and formal training of city staff. Improved community communications, including the bi-monthly newsletter, really popular that our PIO, Justine Bleeker, has developed. And then the C-Click Fix app. Managed and responded to significant storm events, protecting public safety and property. I mean, you've heard me say it, several times. Our Public Works Department just knocked it out of the park in November, December, January. Literally 48-hour shifts. I mean, not only was it, trees down and protecting, life and property from storm drains, we had a couple of major water main breaks during that time, and it was just an outstanding effort. And then compliance with policies and contracts for street, sewer, water, and park improvements. Our project management has really stepped up quite a bit to make sure that we're on time and on budget. Or if something unforeseen comes up, that we come back to the City Council for the proper augmentation and amendments to the contracts. Pedestrian traffic improvements. We've launched several with our, especially with our traffic safety and traffic calming workshops that we've had. Still a lot of work to do. And this is one of those things as a goal. It's just an ongoing thing that we do and want to continue to do as part of our daily work program. New and enhanced partnerships with the Sheriff's Department, self-help for the elderly, and others. I mean, our relationship with the Sheriff's Office, our NGOs is just getting stronger and stronger and stronger to help us in the time of emergency. And a great example of that is as I mentioned, self-help for the elderly. Launched a redesign of the city's website, commits with community improvements and beautification, including design of parks, medians, and streetscape improvements, and community events and quality of life, right? I mean, you have to have fun as a city. All of our events that we have and our downtown concert series, and it's just part of our job and quality of life is to smile and have fun and promote those things for our community. So that pretty much concludes the overview and my talking. Would you like to take a quick break, Mayor, and get some coffee, and then I'll hand it over to Kathy? Or are there any questions that you have?
Questions?
Okay.
Why don't we have Kathy, or Kathy, how do you want it? Do you want to have a break before so people come in fresh, they can get a fresh cup of coffee? Okay, but we're going to make this, and I'm going to hold it to us. It's 10:32, come back at 10:35.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, casual afternoon, rolling up our sleeves and just, yeah, or not, or you can just help yourself as we go through.
All right, then keep going.
Whatever you, all right.
Just keep going.
Okay, I'll introduce Kathy Citron from the consulting team, LLC, and
Thank you. Thank you all for coming today. This is an exciting day when you get to be part of the planning of the future of MILLBRAE. And I'm thrilled you're here. It shows how much you care about this city. And having been here for this will be my 4th year, I've watched the successes and things grow step by step over time. And there's always so much to do, but it looks like there's progress going on too. And COVID didn't help much, particularly in MILLBRAE. Obviously, people weren't traveling. But we have things to do and things to plan. Now, before we get going, the next slide is would you guys move? Yes. Issues, concerns, trends, and constraints. And you probably should go over that, Tom, before I get going. Okay.
so again, as I mentioned, and thank you, Kathy. So again, this isn't not an exhaustive list. This is just, things that have been identified that maybe there's other things that we haven't identified, but it's just kind of get thinking about, where we're headed. So one of the things is improve our toolbox. We need the capacity and funding to accomplish this. And what that means is we really have a lot of outdated ordinances from our zoning code to you need a bicycle license still in our zoning code. Believe it or not. So there's a lot of cleanup that needs to happen. And then also, as I mentioned, as a modern city in 2023 and where we're progressing, maybe there are ordinances or policies out there that need to be developed and brought back. So tools in our toolbox to effectively get our job done. Constraints due to the extraordinary amount of governmental agencies. This city is so unique, and there's not a city that I could think of that has more land that is owned and regulated and controlled by outside agencies. Our largest landowner is SFPUC. not only up off of Skyline, but right down on El Camino, just north of the Outdoor Supply Hardware. Outdoor Supply Hardware and the Kentucky Fried Chicken are actually owned by SFPUC, and those two businesses lease land from them. Obviously, the transit agencies. And then economic development and other revenue enhancing. I mentioned that several times this morning. I mean, you know, state of California, housing, and we have I think, a housing element that the RHNA numbers, RHNA is Regional Housing Needs Assessment, between 2023 and 2030, mandates that we build 2,200 housing units. The adopted housing element allows 3,500 housing units. And as I mentioned, and I was so proud that every site for development, housing development, was accepted by HCD. But my point there is that housing will come. We're planned for it. We can't lose sight on job creation. We can't lose sight on local economic development. We need to create the opportunity, not just in our city, but regionally and statewide, for living wage jobs that people can have affordable housing. And so we can't lose sight on economic development. Neighborhood and community engagement, enhancement, and language barriers. We've talked a lot about that and are moving forward with community engagement, outreach, hearing from the constituency. What do they need? What is their, you know, what do they need from the city in terms of quality of life? Next, social equity and social inclusion. You know, now we have the committee that was formed, the previous committee as well. We're working with a consultant who is just has the knowledge in this field and the experience to get us, I think, where we need to go, and also get us to, you know, with her expertise, where we don't know where we need to go, and help us there. So definitely high priority. Service for the homeless at the end of the BART station. Life Moves and all the efforts and attention given to that issue still needs to be at a forefront. Agreements with the MILLBRAE Elementary School District for field use and maintenance, it's unbalanced. We're right in the middle of negotiating the new agreement with them. Technology deficiencies. We have a lot of technology deficiencies, and that costs money. Our city hall is so outdated that, you know, we really need to make some investment there. And that may sound self-serving sometimes to the community and constituency, but it isn't. That's how we deliver information and services and meetings to the community. So it's convenient, it's easy. If you do Zoom or log in remotely, you can actually hear what's going on. The microphones work and other things. And again, I said it over: business, economic improvement, long-term fiscal stability. Then the next page, 14, parking and traffic, aging infrastructure and city beautification, lack of affordable housing, sea level rise and environment, tree removals, land use policies and design guidelines. The state of California is mandating more restrictive demands on local government, taking away local control for land use policies. Crime and policing strategies, maintain a high standard and level of service with efficiencies, employee training and mentoring. Agreements with the MILLBRAE Elementary School District for field use. That's a repeat there, because obviously I think that's important. It's a typo. So anyway, these are just some of the things that you have in front of you as you go through the day to kind of keep in mind. And I know there's others that we haven't thought of here that you have, but today's for that purpose as we prioritize. So, Kathy?
Yes. Okay, let's get going. I think what we're going to do is take one initiative at a time. So next slide, please. I don't know if that comes from you guys or Elaine. Elaine, are you running the slides? Before we start, I have something I use everywhere, and it seems to really work, is what we call principles of conversation, which is listen. It's so hard to listen, to really listen with an open mind. We speak at something but like 400 words a minute, but our brains work at 1,000 words a minute. I'm not exact on this, but I'm close. And so it's really hard not to be thinking about what you want to say next. So let's listen with an open mind and respect for everyone's voice. Please don't interrupt. I'll call you on it. And try to keep to the point. Very important. Also, be aware of your biases. We all have them. Usually they're unconscious, not always. But be open to new ideas, because everyone is going to pitch what they think is important. Okay? I'm also going to, if the audience has things to say, please try to keep it to 1 minute because we have a lot to accomplish. And city council members, let's try for 3 minutes. I think that's reasonable. If you don't think so, tell me. Usually you can get a lot covered in that time. Okay, next slide, please.
Public, we'll be taking public comments on strategic initiative by strategic initiative. So I've got speaker slips from one person. I know where to slot that in when we're talking about that topic. There are speaker slips over there. And if you're on the phone or on Zoom, please try to, if you've got a comment on a goal, wait till we're talking about that area, please.
Okay. Elaine? Thank you. Okay, I think, and in fact, do you all want to put these up now? You want to, because what we're going to do is go through these and have you all comment if you wish, and then have the city council members and the mayor vote, and the staff doesn't get to vote on this. So let's get this going. Number 1. City completes architectural design standards for all neighborhoods and completes historic designation for all parts of MILLBRAE. If you have questions about these, can we have a hand raise? Does that work for questions if these are not clear? This provides a tool for requiring mitigation from expansion plans by transportation entities who must follow NEPA as well as CEQA rules. It starts getting very, as you all know, very complex with regulations and everything that goes into getting anything accomplished in government. So the fact that you can get as much done as you did last year is quite impressive. A single BART station serving all forms of transportation, reduction and undergrounding of BART tracks. I'm not going to read through all this because you can read it. But these are the first 3. And then, thank you, Tom, if you'd go on. Number 4. East Side specific plan. Now, some of these are in progress in the sense that they've been talking about it, but it hasn't been completed. And as we go through these, one of the things that we probably should look at are the unfunded items in the first section. Let's see. Just to see if we want to add them or put them on our parking lot over there to see if we should come back and review them. Some things were unfounded, but we're able to put in another category, and so we're taken care of or in progress. All right, so this is a lot. Prioritize very low-income housing, Social Equity Commission and Committee, high-speed rail, residential design guidelines, big deal. Station study set up at, I don't know what this is, joint powers funding, and age-friendly city. I like that. I'm getting quite ancient. Okay, and we have one more piece to go under S1, which is over here. We can just hang it up. We can take it off and hang it up. I think. Hold on.
This is one.
Okay.
One additional.
Let's just put it down there because they're going to vote on it, if that's all right. Let's put it under there. All right. Now, does the public have anything to say on this first initiative? Anybody turned in anything? All right. What I'd like you all to do, we're going to go initiative by initiative.
Kathy, just for a point of clarification for the city council, the goals that Kathy's going over is how we receive them verbatim from the council, so there hasn't been any changes or anything. In years past, when we kind of went through them, we were requested by the council not to change anything and to present them as they were submitted to us. So I just wanted to make sure that the council was aware of that.
Also, we will, it comes up every year that some of goals from different council members are very similar. And so after we go through a few votes, we'll see if we need to combine some of them. It simplifies things, but it's better to do it as you have sent them in at first, because otherwise there sometimes have been objections, right? Yes.
Kathy, we've got 2 brand new council members. Could you go a little bit more that what we would do, and if the public could please the room's picking up every sound. Really, only the ones that received several dots.
Yes.
We'll be doing the dot thing.
Right.
We'll move into the next rank. So it's tricky when there are things that, I'm looking at 2 or 3 or 4 up there that are similar to each other. So it gets trickier there.
And so if you vote for just one of them and we look at it, we'll say, these are similar, would you like to combine them? And I'll get a consensus on that, and then we'll combine them. Does that make sense? Usually they have additional things that are always a little bit different, but we'll come up with a phrase that works for combining two, if it's appropriate. Okay, so now we get to play some games, serious games. Greens, would you send those down, please? A green.
Wait to the dots and not have people explain some of theirs
No,
if they...
I'm just going to explain how this works, and then we'll do a pitch. So, because then it'll start getting in your head. So green dots are worth 3 points. That's your number 1 choice when you vote. Blue dots, 2 points. That's your number 2 choice. Yellow dots, 1 point. Third choice. Now, yes, green dots, 3 points. Blue dots, 2 points. Yellow dots, 1 point. Now, I believe it was last year, someone asked, if I feel strongly about something, can I put all my dots on one? And the answer was yes, but then you lose that opportunity. And we're going to vote a couple of times, so I would, because we want to winnow this down. Remember, all the things that were in progress on this early list, a lot of things are in progress. So we want to try to get 3 or 4 total on each of the initiatives. So we have work to do here. Although I think last year, we're starting with 75 goals, and we're going to try to get it down to 15. So, and people feel strongly about this, as I guess many of you do. So the first thing I'd like to do is, Madam Mayor, perhaps you'd like to start. I'd like each of you to pitch your favorite thing, the thing you want most on the initiative number 1, define the MILLBRAE community of tomorrow. Now can you look at, let's see how we can do this so you can see both. You have a copy of the slide deck in front of you? So you can look at all of those suggestions or goals set by all of you. And I'd like you to spend no more than 3 minutes, got to get my phone and time it, pitching the one that's most important to you. You have to go first, Ann.
I'm going to pitch for the architectural design guidelines. Some of the reason is it's part of the tools that we need to both protect our neighborhoods, but also, as the city manager mentioned, we are highly subjected to transportation agencies and what they can and cannot do here. And they can basically both ignore the city because we're not a priority equity area, although new since the last month and a half is all along El Camino Real and 2 blocks on either side, we are an equity focus area. That means that these agencies, when they come in and do a planning report, an environmental impact study or report, they have to look at other things. But we don't have the historic preservation or the historic designations yet, so they can completely override anything that might impact Bayside Manor, Marina Vista, El Camino Real. Any of our neighborhoods except 2 would fall under this. And if we can get these design guidelines done, it gives us more tools to fight high-speed rail, to fight SFO. And by fighting, I mean to even have them consider what they do to MILLBRAE on that.
Thank you. Who would like to go next? Anders, how about you? Sorry.
No worries. I think we do need to press the button in order for the mic to work. So, I think we've made some headways last year. It's part of our strategic goal as we did goal setting last year. I have it in this SI1 strategic initiative 1 that we need to put together a density bonus program for our downtown And one of the main reasons for that is that Can you hear me okay? Oh, like that? Better? All right. Let me try to set it up. Yeah, so ABAC has identified our RENA goals, and we're in need to produce more of the low to very low income tier BMRs. And absence of that, we could be subject to more scrutiny and could lose our ability to enforce our land use ordinance and how to guide the development of our city. So the way to do this is, in order for us to really earn back our land use authority and take back our local control, having that local density bonus program that guide the development of our downtown moving forward, it's our way to ensure that, number one, we achieve economic vitality, and number two, be able to guide the development of our city, and number three, be able to better produce those BMRs that we needed it, and also guide how development needs to happen in our city instead of being heavy-handed by XCD and having developers taking advantage of our city and the state law and ignoring our land usability. So, and I think that's something we got to do. We talk a lot about how we've been losing our right to enforce our land use. And this is our way to ensure that we can earn back our ability to guide the development of our city. So I think that needs to be a key. And frankly, this is less of a revenue impact, right, in terms of being able to fund this initiative. It's just a legislative effort. So I think this needs to be really a priority now, given how we still need to produce more low and very low income BMRs.
Quick, just for the benefit of the public, it was requested that we identify the page number in the slides. So right now we are on page number 9 and 10, and it's slides 18 and 19.
Looking at the goals, they're all extremely important. But for me, what's most important is the fact that it's not what we do, it's how we do it. I think it's very important for us to take a step back before we move forward. And in doing that, I believe item number 6, Social Equity Committee and Commission, guides us to get back to a foundation of a focus on equity, a focus on empathy and understanding each other before we move forward with all of our initiatives. And I think if we were able to do that, what it would do, it was provide a baseline of a social equity lens and how we see everything strategically that we're working on as a city. So I would just say, while every single item on here, even the overlapping ones, are very important, I think we have to find a way to create a unified lens as a working group, as city council members, our city management team, to be able to work towards those goals.
What did you say, Tom? What was your thing about working together to move forward? Is that
Onward together or onward?
and keeping that in mind,
Yes.
all of the things like equity. Okay, thank you.
Onward together.
All right. Angelina.
I agree that all of these are so important, and I'm already taking notes on the overlaps I see in several of these. But I think one of the areas I'd like to highlight is the East Side specific plan. We've spent a lot of work the last couple of years on our general plan, our El Camino specific plan, and downtown specific plan, and I think it makes sense for our East Side to be the next specific plan we work on. As soon as you walk through, you can see that the neighborhoods on the east side are a little behind on getting the TLC that we've seen across other parts of the city. It's the area most significantly impacted by the government agencies and that agency land ownership and relationship overlap that we have. We have 2 neighborhoods with very limited access inside and out of those neighborhoods, which is a safety issue. So there's a lot to be considered and looked at in how we can support and enhance the quality of life and city infrastructure on the east side.
There's immediate overlap between 8 and 1 and 9 and 2. You've got, excuse me, let me say, so number 1, cities complete architectural designs, and number 8 is objective design standards, guidelines. I believe those are the same.
Just for clarification, this is exactly how we received them from the various council members. So
Okay.
so we wanted to make sure we were fair to everyone.
Thank
And
you.
I think there's definitely overlap.
Okay.
Good point.
So I do need to agree with 2 of my colleagues here in the same realm. I believe that 1 and 8 are very important in that we've already decided certain things. And in order to implement them, to reflect what the council has consensus on, I do think completing the design elements and the residential design are very important. And I just wanted to clarify for number 2, in dealing with our station, which is such a significant and important aspect to not only the east side, but the entire city in and of itself. It is more, it's kind of dealing with a joint powers, making something like that happen here. And so just putting the pieces together here, I know that's, I'm trying to figure out where, but my number 1 priority here is just what Anders said here. The affordability of housing is so important to us that we seriously need to improve the inclusionary requirement, or we will lose all control in moving forward here. So I do believe that that's where we need to focus.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you. And before we vote, the question is, do we have 2 up here? Because I can't see everything at once. Do we have 2 up here that are very similar in this area that we might talk about combining before we vote if they're similar enough? Yes.
I would agree with Gina that 1 and 8 are talking about the same things.
All right. So I don't know who did 1 and 8, but do either of you have objections to combining them?
I don't.
Anybody? Okay. All right,
And
let's
Kathy,
go
we have
ahead.
1 public comment on this item.
On this item, yes.
2 and 7 are kind of the same.
Kind of, but I don't think they're.
2 and what?
She
2
said
and
2 and
7?
7, but I think with 2 being specific about undergrounding BART, I think that could be a deal breaker for some. So I don't think they're exactly the same.
And can I clarify on that front, please? Because we have a lawsuit against high-speed rail, so we're not really going to be dealing with high-speed rail. The legal system is. What we're trying to do is go beyond that with the governor's office and other agencies in order to go ahead, hopefully, with our approved 488 housing units. So I think to say deal with high-speed rail is,
So
we're
are
not
we
going to get
saying do
anywhere.
not combine these 2? Is
We're
that
not going to get anywhere with that one. So I just wanted to clarify with that. And I don't even see, where's the undergrounding part here?
From a staff perspective, this helps. I think that's correct. I don't think that they are combined. And on the goal 7, that is already a work in progress. So we're already down a path. As the council member said, we're in litigation right now with high-speed rail, and that will work itself out. So that's already kind of a work in progress.
If we can just do a point of order. So to try to keep us on schedule, each one of us got to defend something. I have no problem with the discussion on it. But we tried to figure out how do we do for things that are currently in progress, but we didn't want to remove it from the beginning because we wanted all council members and the public to see that these are on there. And then I think, well, I guess now is the time to say, yes, number 7, we can't really do it because we're in litigation. I can tell you number 2 actually means we don't have a graphic that shows what we would like our station to look like on that. And that's more of telling our story as we wait for the various litigations to go through.
Okay. Madam Mayor? Yeah, we are not in a position to underground BART tracks. I think what we're talking about, and I think we could have consensus, is
It's on the number 2. Number 2 is
is
underground.
really kind of a seamless station and incorporating all transit would be probably the better way to go on that.
Could you explain why you're not in a position to do this?
The BART tracks are already in existence. I think whoever wrote this might have suggested an alternative for high-speed rail and not BART, but I'm not sure who suggested it. Trying to be respectful.
Sure.
If we're going to vote on things.
Yes. All right, and just before we proceed, yes, Anders?
And I think, as I was looking through all of this, I think number 5 in prioritizing very low-income housing also work its way into what's on the board, number 11, as I would call it, because that's going to help achieve that goal as well, so they could also be combined as we move forward with those initiatives.
Okay, 5 and what?
11?
Okay, anyone disagree with the combination 5 and 11?
Anderson. Yeah.
The local densities bonus program.
I think
So our plan to try to get it through our first choice and then open it up to the public and then see if there are any that are combined. That was our plan.
Okay.
So we're still going through the first roll.
That's true, but there were 2 that were obviously combinable, so we did that.
So this is just setting how we're going to do it for the rest, is try to see if any of them are similar before anybody gives their favorite pitch.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, just to remind you, I know you are so well aware of this, but I just want you to remember as you vote the reality of your vote in terms of money, staff, and time. I say that every year. Yes, Gina?
I have one quick question, Madam Mayor.
Yep.
So we've already approved the age-friendly city aspect. So
It's a question of keeping it as a goal for 23, 24, and trying to use money to do that. Unless, Tom, you have something to say about that.
Tom?
Back to the mic. The difficulty with some of these, and for the public, for example, age-friendly, it's in our general plan, and what it would translate, and city manager, correct me, is as any plan comes through community development, they would make sure that it achieves the goals that we set in that. So is it really a big staff initiative? I don't see it as a big staff initiative. It's in our downtown specific plan. It definitely would be in any infrastructure design, because older people, and I'm getting there, we need a little bit more time to cross the street. We need a place to sit down. We need some social media tools. It's kind of built into our programs on that.
Yeah, and I think that's right. As you'll see in what will evolve, so that's a policy that's already adopted, right? And so we work with that every day when we, not only private projects that we're reviewing, but also public projects, right? So when we redesign our parks and redesign our circulation system, we always have that at the forefront. So that's one that is already in play that we implement all the time. So that's correct.
And
Already a
I
policy.
think, Kathy, when we go into the next initiatives, maybe we
but-
can mark the ones that are already in play. So we're not, this one had the most choices, I think, though.
But just to make things more complex, there's a fiscal impact element to this as well. So I will help guide you. So the fiscal impact of implementing this, very minor, could be absorbed with our permit process and permit review as a policy. So there is no real fiscal impact on this.
6, is it philosophical that we're saying, hey, everything that we do should have that lens of making sure that we're an age-friendly city, that we're looking at equity in everything we do? Is it more along the lines of that that we're just trying to change how we do things and how we look at every aspect, that it's all interwoven.
Yeah.
So there's no real fiscal impact, but there's an impact on the
Well,
how.
there will be
Yeah, I
an
think that-
impact on time.
Oh, well, time.
Well,
Because you're develop projects and
Right.
tasks related.
Yeah, and it's just one of the laundry list of things that we review and make sure that we adhere to. I would say this, is that, so we are a designated age-friendly city, and so we have the upfront cost of implementing that plan. So just like our social equity committee or commission, right, that work program will be evolved. Once that's adopted and kind of the heavy lifting or the plan is there, then it will be so fluid and just be common practice that it's economies of scale and efficient,
Right.
and there's no real fiscal impact.
Go ahead, Jean.
But we do have a fiscal impact to number 6, because we haven't developed the policy yet. I think we all are hoping we'll get there. But the age-friendly one has already been established, and I think it'll easily slip into when we do the El Camino design and things like
Yep.
that. And I agree with the Vice Mayor, we'll get there, but there definitely is a
Yep.
fiscal impact.
And it could be, right, our age-friendly is then integrated into our social equity plan, right? And so those two become combined, and then we've got that plan that we just on a daily basis, project-by-project basis, implement as,
And
As
also
our daily
keep in
business.
mind, excuse me, Tom, sorry. Keep in mind that there are a number of things that are work in progress that are going on that are part of next year's goals already, right? And then I believe this is,
and Kathy, that will actually be covered under 1
oh, I'm
in the
sorry,
new
I'm on-
goals. Yeah,
Okay, great.
yep.
And
Interrupt. Before we go to the next step, we do have one public comment for this
Yes.
item. And to the public, thank you for identifying which strategic initiative. So I have you all of you have given us slips. You're going to get called when that initiative comes up. But first up is Luis Velasquez, and this is for East Side Specific Plan. Took your thunder. Oh, the mic, city manager.
Kathy.
I just wanted to encourage the city, since there are so many agencies that we're dealing with on the east side, and since there are major power transmission towers that go right through our parks in that area, right near our housing, that we tap any resources they have when we're doing the parks and when we're doing the restoration, because they do have habitat programs, PG&E. There's like at least 3 power agencies I think you deal with out there. So I would encourage you to look at what resources we could tap or funding from them.
thank you, Louise. All right, are we ready for a vote? Okay, 3 points green, 2 points yellow, blue, 1 point yellow. Now, just on, we're on S1.
Maybe we should put that
So
up as a reminder.
go for it. Put it right next to the number, wherever there's room, and we'll add them up and see if we've lost a few along the way.
I need the colors of the dots.
Oh, it's right there against what? So can you repeat the what point system again?
Yes. 3 points green, that's your first choice. Your second choice is blue. Well, you're going to be voting a lot. 3 dots, 3 dots. Let me ask, we didn't combine those two because we did.
So we marked it up.
We-
So
I thought those were different, enough different to. This is what.
Yeah, so to the end of trying to prioritize very low-income housing, there's no real easy way to do that in a single-family home district. You have to rely on that development to happen near downtown where density actually happens, and that's where our downtown density bonus program will help produce those policies and guidelines to ensure those low and very low income housing can happen.
So, I think, right. So I think in the beginning, we talked about the difference between a strategic initiative, a goal, and a task. And I think this is one task, one action under the goal of prioritizing low-income housing. And I worry of combining those, we'll just end up with one action versus having that overall goal with many ways to reach it.
So yeah, let me kind of address that a little bit here. Let me just address that a little bit. That is a framework at which we can achieve the low to very low income housing, as well as regaining local control. That's the framework at which we can achieve those initiatives, right? So it's a mechanism to get to those goals. Does that make sense? But combining them, just making sure as we put this, if we voted that initiative in, then ensuring the low to very low income housing is part of that initiative. Then we can achieve both. Make sense? 5 and 11.
So everybody's going to vote for 3, their first choice. Everyone's going to vote for 3, their first choice with a green dot, their second choice with a blue dot, and their third choice with a yellow dot. So you want to put 3 down, but of 3 different colors. Okay. Let's just.
I always try to make her laugh.
Oh.
Sometimes it works. Clarify that. So upfront planning costs.
So everyone puts 3 dots, 3 different colors up there. So there should be a total of 15 dots. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
So we bet green is 3, blue's 2, and yellow is 1.
And yellow is 1. 1 means 1 point, not number 1 choice.
And the next to you too. Well, no, I mean, you got also different color dots that, if you need them. You need different color ones. You're good.
You use 3 dots.
And I will clarify for the council. So in years past, if you don't
This is
have
a
to
test,
vote
you all.
for something either. Like if as Kathy said, we're trying to fit everything under. In years past, some council members said, "Well, I don't have anything under that strategic initiative." That's totally fine too. You don't have to. You're not forced. It's this really getting to what the council wants, and so don't be forced to try to. Yeah.
I have a question, City Manager, while Kathy's writing things up.
So I'm still out 1 dot.
And if we could bring everybody back
2,
together.
4, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh, somebody
10,
still has
11,
1
12,
dot.
13. There are 14 dots up here. I assume. Oh, that must be 15, and that's 22. Okay, 15 dots.
Okay.
All right. Elaine, can you keep track of this, or somebody? So number 1 has 4 points. Number 2 has 3 points. Number 3 has 0. So we should probably take number 3 off. Not yet, I'll come back to it. Number 4, 5 points. I should be doing this. Oh, thank you, you're very kind. Okay, number 4 is 5 points. Number 5 is 3, 6, 7, 8 points.
How much is number 5?
Number 6 is 1 point.
Number what is 1 point again?
Number 6.
Number 6? Okay.
Number 7 is 0. I think that's because we combined. Okay, number 8 is 2 points.
Number 8 is we combined 8 and 1.
Okay, so 2 and 4. Becomes 10?
So then it'll be 6 now for number 1.
Plus 2. Okay. Yes. Just do this. We'll go back to that. Just let's wait and get through this. Number 9 is 1 point. Pardon me. Yeah, 1 point. I think we decided not to for this at this time yet. We're going to talk about it. And number 10, age-friendly city. And then I guess this would be number 11 is 3, 4, 5, 6 points. Number 5 is 8. So number 5, we're doing well here. Number 1 is 6 points. Number 5 is 5 points. Now, and number 11 is 6. So those are our highest. If we combine, we've combined 1 and 8. If we combine, what else were you all talking about combining? 2 and 9 and 2, right? 2, 3, 4 points. I don't think it's going to sell anyway.
Because I kept to the rules just for the public. Number 2 was mine, and I actually don't believe in undergrounding high-speed rail anymore, but I do believe BART could dig a trough and keep their tracks and put the tracks on top of it. The problem with the current high-speed rail plan is that they will put in 2 to 4 more lanes of traffic on that, but it's not going to make it. The other question, the Social Equity Commission, we've already approved it, we've already given it spending money, which is why I didn't support that one, because to me it's a plan in action. And that's the most confusing thing in these goals, is finding the ones that are already in place. And then the next trick, and you're going to see this coming up, is how some of these also get to our committees or commissions to work on too. And that process.
Okay, I have a question about this number 2, which could be or not be with number 9.
I think I can address that.
Pardon me?
I think I can help with that, please.
Go ahead, Gina.
So all the things the mayor was looking for in number 2, we can accomplish. What we're trying to do is really get funding, and we already have some funding, to study the best aspects of how that station should be developed. So everything you're looking for in number 2, I'm hoping we get additional funding to do an independent study that reflects best way to do the tracks, best way to do the station.
Did
So
we put
that's-
that
that's
in
why
any
I
goal?
put
Is
that.
that in any goal that has been written?
2 and 9.
2 and 9.
Those 2. And then how much points is that for 2 and 9?
2 and 9 still only have 2, 3, 4
Here's
points.
the other thing that goes in line with, I think, Gina, and we're going to go more informal here, Gina. I think we've asked for money from MTC for that one.
We do have some funding already
Okay.
for a study at the station area.
Okay.
And we're looking to actually develop that with additional partners, again, independent.
Right,
So
right.
we would have, really know what's the best way to lay the tracks, as you're inferring, and what's the best way to develop the station to be
Perfect.
more inclusive.
The only thing I would add to that, and this is so staff knows, when I was in National League of Cities, one of the other services that we get as a member of National League of Cities, they have a partnership with basically a video marketing company that comes in for free and tells a city story. Now, a lot of those were targeted at tourism, but when I met with them, and they have called me back, and we just haven't had time, they can help us tell the story of what we want. And I should have rewritten that one to say, tell our story. What do we want in that area? What is everything it could be? Because when I was back east and lobbying, telling our story really carried weight. So thank you for that, Gina.
Mayor, point of clarification. So I think what the council member is saying is the station itself. We already have the MILLBRAE stationary specific plan. So I think that this is the station access and the redesign of the station and having MILLBRAE take some of the lead.
Which
Right.
Never been produced by High Speed Rail or any of the other agencies, and then we would
Right.
really see the potential, as the mayor has suggested.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And for the public, what happens when we dog and pony it, we use a slide of the Salesforce Transit Center to show how things can integrate, but we haven't done our own integration. Perfect.
Or hope
Thank you.
we can do.
All right, so.
And may I also, it was brought up, number 6, the Social Equity Committee and Commission. That has already been funded. That is a work in progress. So this is where I don't know who put that up there, but that is something we are already well under.
So I'm going
underway
to
on.
check it off this list because it's on the work in progress list.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
yes. And you can just I always put WIP, so there's no
That's right. You just can't read
confusion
my
that if it's
writing,
crossed
that's
off the
right.
list, so it's crossed off.
Well, then, I'm sorry, if people voting for that, do they want to reassess?
Yeah, whoever put that to
Yeah, that's a
pointer,
good point, yeah.
So
bring your
you would have to.
thing, because I'm gonna knock this off. A new yellow over here.
Strategic Initiative 3 and 4 will get this process down, but this one had so many, and they were all good and all needed.
Yeah, no, I know. Okay, so let's just clarify this for everyone and for the record, that we're combining 3 and 9, 2 and 9, and it still gives us only 5 points. Is that correct?
I think it was 4, right?
Am I?
No, Maurice just
Oh,
added
Maurice
9.
just
so-
did
yeah,
9, okay.
yeah. So it's 5.
Blue is,
Let's just,
no, green
Take
is
the time,
3,
because it's like-
blue is
yeah.
2, yellow is 1.
So now to have,
no, she'll,
All right,
Some-
we can take out some and revote if you want, but time is also of the essence. Let's just go over this and know that number 1, 6 points, number 8, 8 points are, and then number 11, 6 points. Those are our 3 highest. Now, if you want to take the top 5 and revote, I'm glad to go through that process with you, but we cannot have a lot of discussion because you'll never get this done. Is that reasonable?
I would only say that in terms of actually measurable, we, obviously we can do something with number 11, which could have an impact on number 9, on the prioritized very low income housing. But how do we make that into a goal other than, I know Gina had mentioned in a previous meeting of going to our density bonus from 15% to 20%. And I know, having come from Cal Cities, the cities that have gone to 20% are getting some pushback, but that would be the mechanism out of number
So it's
9.
11 and,
All right, here's what I think we
9.
should do, you all.
5.
Let's write down the top 5 out of these 11, and at the very end, when we've gone through everything, we will have more than 15, and we'll start taking ones off that you can stand. Okay?
Everybody?
Is that
And we'll see a
reasonable?
cleaner copy of it.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
So Elaine, here's what we've got. Number 5 is 8 points. Number 2 is 3, but if we combine it with number 9, no. 5. We've got East Side Specific Plan, number 4 is 5 points. Number 1 is 6 points. And number 11 is 6. We didn't combine with number, no, wait a minute. 5 and 11? Comes together.
Should we have a
So
stretch
that
range
means,
or go
that
straight
means
into S1, S2?
3,
Keep
4,
going,
5,
yeah.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 points for number 4 and 11.
You know, if we remember from last year, our city clerk did
Yeah,
miracles with
if you
this.
can come up
Let's
and
move
figure
to
this out.
strategic initiative 2.
I
No
think you're
break.
brilliant. Thank you.
Move straight into
You
2.
bet.
Public, I know I've got at least one comment, 2 comment cards
Okay.
for number 2. Let's move into 2.
Good, thank you, good idea.
And thank you, everyone. Good work.
Okay, do you want to do public comment first on number 2?
I think it helps for them to see what's up there before they come and add, but we
So-
definitely do it before we vote.
Yes, okay. So Elaine, if we could come up, I know you are wearing too many hats, with Initiative 2, we need to talk through.
No, we did that. Mayor and I did that, Initiative 2. I believe we can get combined with a,
No.
Strategic initiative
oh, excuse me,
number
my
2.
apologies.
Strategic initiative number 2 is sustainable city and infrastructure investment for 2022-23.
Okay, so I need a slide up for that.
And it is slide number, well, it was slide 7, and it is slide 20 and 21, and 22, and 23,
Just give me a quick second.
and 23. Thank you. So those are the slides to scroll up. And to the public, basically, we're going to start with page 20, or slide 20.
Oh, it's
they're
already
right here.
posted, yeah.
Okay, all right, number 2, develop RFP for urban tree inventory. I'll let you all read this, you have the slides in front of you, is number 1. Number 2, obtain $65 million in grants and loans, preferably grants, for conversion of MILLBRAE water pollution treatment plant. And number 3, complete council-adopted El Camino Real replanting. Number 4, next slide, please. Fund and compete RFP for creation of East Side specific plan. And this is bringing elements to the council and so forth. Number 5, we did that, resolve bike lane design for safety. So that's the plan. So once again, we're dealing with things that are in the works, but we have to get time, funding, and staff to do these things. Next slide, please. Infrastructure, always, it's not what's popular, definitely with the citizens often, but it's critical to the survival of everyone, both here and outside. Streets, storm, sewer, water. Number 7, street paving. 8, recycled water. 9, stormwater fee strategies. Number 10, safe sidewalks, repair and accessibility for wheelchairs and strollers. And I think there are more. Is there more on 2? Yes. 2 is a big one. We're going to have 2 votes on this, I can tell. Number 11, streets, citywide sidewalk. Number 12, El Camino diet and restoration. Real diet, what does that mean?
We have a lot of lanes, we're just going to use them better.
I see, okay, thank you. Number 13, EV superchargers. 14, grade separations. Does everybody know what that is, I assume? Number 15, MILLBRAE image, important, which includes a dog park. Let everybody know. Number 16, ensure that the city of Burlingame and San Francisco provide funding for road wear and tear caused by their developments. That's a good one. Okay, I think that's it.
Before
Yes.
we go on looking
Yes.
at these, because there's so many, there are, to me, if we could do this first, and this isn't how we talked about it, but with the council, if we could combine some, like number 2, which is looking for the grants and loans, which is going to be staff time, is the same as 8, the recycled water plan improved, or similar to number 8. There, if other people can find these, number 7, street paving plan, and 10, safe sidewalk repair. They're different, but they're part of the same road infrastructure. On that, in a way, 5 is the same. Each one of these is slightly different, but in the same ballpark. Number 14, grade separations, with the exception of one that Councilman Fung wants, are part of the East Side specific plan, but that one could go into, it's east of El Camino Real, could go into the East Side specific plan. would it be easier if we could agree to merge some of these ahead of time?
I would prefer, if you don't mind, Madam Mayor, if everyone spoke first. and
Defending
before-
one item. This is
defending-
one
yes,
item.
and you can say,
Okay.
this is what I want, but it's fine with me if we combine. You know, that can be part of your presentation. Yes, Gina?
Certain things that are listed here, we already have a one dig policy. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yes. And
Which one is that, Gina?
that is number 7 I'm looking at. And we have already established that Public Works should be posting when they do work on the street as scheduled payments. So that was already one of our informational,
Could we
achieved
have
that.
this discussion after everyone pitches and we hear from the audience? Just because some things may be clarified as people point out what they prefer or really are rooting for. Would
Well,
that be okay?
I don't think we need to have discussions on things we've already done. That's why I just mentioned that.
Okay, yes, I understand. But I'm just postponing, I agree with you 100%, but I'm just postponing any discussion yet about take things off or combine till we hear from you. But shall we call on the people in the audience that would like to speak? Do we have anyone on this?
Actually, after everybody defends
One.
one of these
Yeah. Okay.
16 items, and then we'll do public comment, then we'll come back.
Sounds perfect. All right. Who would like to begin?
And you rotated us last year, so the same person didn't always have to go
All right,
first.
okay, let's do, how about Maurice?
I have anything to defend,
Okay.
but I do like number 15.
Number 15, which is MILLBRAE's image. And what does that mean? Is that PR? Is that marketing? Is that publicity? I'm just talking about it really for the sake of the audience.
Well, again, these are the goals that were written exactly the way they were provided to us. Because in years past, we would change them, we'd combine them, but at the request of previous council, and maybe it changes next year. If,
Whoever
let's say,
wrote
for
that.
example, if one council member didn't write it, maybe the person
Yeah, so I
council.
would say, I didn't write it, but I like it, but I also see how number 15 could go with the El Camino Real diet. You
Yes.
know, better utilizing
15,
El
12.
Camino in our lane. So whoever wrote it, if you guys could speak, whether or not you would agree to kind of combining a portion of it, but I.
Sure, but
like
let's talk about just the descriptive of it a little further, unless you're all certain what that means.
Well, I wrote it.
Oh, good.
It would fit nicely into the diet, which I also wrote, so I would advocate for those because it's our image. If we're
Good.
able to improve all the El Camino,
Okay.
as we have discussed, we don't have a monument because it was torn down, so they do fit together. And
Great.
that would be my point as
Would
well.
you like to go next, Gina?
I just did, didn't I?
Well, you talked about them
Oh,
going
I'm sorry.
together,
So
but
it
I
would
need a
be-
pitch.
It would be 12 with the inference of 15.
No, my question is, why do you think that this should win in the vote?
Oh, I think it really, it focuses on our infrastructure as well. And, you know, it just puts together here, but I mean, number one, it really has to be we do have a lot here, infrastructure improvements. I mean, that's where we get the biggest bang for the buck. The streets, sewers, potholes, water, I mean, every time a pipe breaks, it costs us more. So it's number 6.
Thank you, thank you. All right. Angelina, would you like to go? Pitch the one you want to win.
Sure. Well, I think I've already spoken to the east side plan, so I definitely support that. I want to look at these a little more closely because I do see a lot of overlap. And I think our basic infrastructure is so important. As Councilmember Pappen was saying, we are spending a lot of money on Band-Aids versus getting to the root. I understand we already have a one dig plan and that we are posting when a project starts on the block, but I think, I know the city is already in the process of doing an audit of what streets are in the most need of repaving, as well as what's happening with the water, the sewer, everything underneath. I think if we had a plan, we publicize the priorities, even put it out so it's 10 years, but people know it might be 8 years, but this year is slated my street, the one dig, get everything done. And then we also have our own accountability to get that done. So maybe we look at a few of these together to combine that to reach that goal.
Thank you, thank you. And as you speak, you all, you're pitching for why we should choose these as opposed to any others. Thank you very much. Ann?
Okay. Obviously, I would love to see us have a tree plan. City manager and I have been talking about what we could do within our limited means, and we have not been successful with grants. So there might be a way to do that, but if it stays on our priority list, then it goes to our Community Enhancement Committee, where they have had as their goal for years a program to look at the pruning and maintenance of city street trees, which have suffered greatly, and all trees have suffered greatly in the drought, which is why we've lost so many trees during the wind. But the other one that's critical, and so that has been on our goals for year after year, never funded, although the city, thank you city, has planted about 200 trees a year, but we haven't involved the public in it. So it would be lovely to have a slightly more developed plan and to give MCAC that process. The other one that to me is critical for reasons that Councilwoman Cahalan already said, our East Side specific plan, and we need to fund going out for an RFP, so doing anything would take 2 more years. But we have a neighborhood that has only one access by car. We have another neighborhood that is very heavily impacted by SFO. So we need the specific plan to look at these neighborhoods holistically, get the environmental work done on them so that we can begin then to hold other agencies accountable for mitigation, but to start providing decent services for our East Side. So mine are sort of 1 and 4, although I am willing to reduce 4 down, not a tree inventory, but just a tree plan per neighborhood. I grew up in Meadows, and Meadows, every house had a tree in front. Almost all of them are gone. But the city has an easement for each one of those properties to get a tree back in there. So if we could just have a plan and we aggressively plant, it's for climate change, it's for heat islands, it increases property value on that. And we have just been lax, and the windstorm has just proven we've got to look at trees. So 1 and 4 for me.
Thank
And
you.
I see so many of these are subsets. I wrote number 3, and for where Gina and Angelina were, if you take out the front
Let's go
yard
back to
parking
those.
strips, but it would also fit.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
We'll
It's
go
looking
back
at El Camino infrastructure. on
And the
that.
other thing we will do by the end, as we take things off, we can put, not the ones that have gotten no votes, but as we get lower, we can always put them, there's another chart over here we're calling the parking lot, and I want to also think about, can't do this now, but let's keep it on the list for the future. Let me just hear from Anders, and I'll come back to you, Gina. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Much of this discussion on this SI2, as what I'm hearing is between traffic and the image of the city and how we can get circulation better and bring more safety, right, to our existing traffic condition. And how to, in all of that, as we reimagine how El Camino needs to look like in terms of the style and restoration, MILLBRAE's image on improving and monument signs along those traffic corridor, and also thinking about how to do grade separation so we can bring about much of the east side development that we currently already see, between the Alexandria, the Longfellows, and the new Gateway, how to bring those folks back to the west side of the city, right, and create better traffic circulations, more safety, and more accessibility between the east side and the west side of the city, and that helps integrate the east side much better as well. And that's kind of, we need to look at this holistically, right? What that goal should be.
Yeah.
And I think I tried to summarize that in terms of what that vision needs to look like. So to that end, I think, I put in the merchants and grade separation. Mainly the purpose of it is to bring the east side and the west side together and increase the traffic circulation, reduce the traffic, and make it more safe. So that should work well with 14 together. And also the El Camino Real diets and restoration and the MILLBRAE image really needs to sort of combine and be able to work more collaboratively together, these two strategic goals. So I see that as a priority.
We're going to go back to the combinations.
Well, I understand, but
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is the vision at which how these strategic goals needs to work together and what it intends to achieve.
Got it.
And that's how I think all of us needs to look at it. And not to, obviously, as part of it as well, I didn't put this in, but the recycled water infrastructure, I think that needs to be a part of that discussion as we reimagine between the grade separations, creating those opportunities so that these things could get done. So the undergrounding of the recycled water, the purple pipes. So that's how I see all these strategic goals needs to come together and to make that a priority for us.
Great, thank you. Gina, you had something you wanted to say.
I need some clarification from the mayor on the tree stuff, because there was, when we did the tree planting recently, if we have some sort of a plan, we can get funding, and I didn't know how that was described, or if that's where the mayor was going. So I just needed some clarification.
What I
A
was hoping-
forestry thing?
A tree inventory is a different thing. It looks at every tree, it plots them, its health, it gets a map for it. And if we can't afford it this year because we were diving into budget as budget subcommittee, we could just say, we know we need trees, we know the city has public property, we can just let the neighborhoods know that we want to do this, try to get so the tree plan would be which neighbors might want a tree, and we'll offer up their houses first. And then we work with the ones that have basically hardscaped their front yards or the parking strips in the neighborhoods that have
So,
parking strips.
I'm
So
just
that's
trying
the
to
plan.
be bigger perspective here. Is it the forestation of MILLBRAE? Is that,
It is the reforestation of our urban forest because we've not done a tree inventory since '92. We gave the residents the pruning back, and what we're getting is huge number of complaints on pruning and inadequate pruning that's actually hurting the trees. So should the city so if MCAT could bring to council a discussion of, does the city take back the pruning? Is there a public-private partnership? They just need to be assigned that goal to do the homework to bring to council on the tree plan. And then to allow neighborhoods to say, here's 5 trees that work in our microclimate, which trees might become the neighborhood tree for Meadows? What might be the neighborhood tree for Marina Vista? Bayside Manor has the sycamores that we're replacing with London Plains. Lower Highlands has the sycamores, but different neighborhoods could have a different feel with public input on that. That would be the tree plan.
Thank you. Let's call on the citizens, please. Ron Raquel, I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly.
1 minute.
Hi, my name is Ron Raquel, and I'm addressing the concern about MILLBRAE Avenue and Magnolia in the north-southbound direction. I've brought this up numerous times. I'm actually circulating a petition to the audience out here for safe crossing over the last few years, at least 25 to 30 times. I have been hit by near misses by vehicles. This is not safe. I've collected over 100 signatures so far, and many of the residents have echoed my same concern. I strongly urge the City Council to implement a left turn signal controlled for pedestrians and safe crossing in the north-southbound direction, because people are in a rush trying to get to El Camino 101, whatever, and especially in the morning with daylight saving time, the lighting and the sun blinds people, and the short attention span of drivers, as we know, is really a problem. And once the projects get going, it's just going to get quite worse. So if anyone in the audience would sign my petition, and I've also reached out on Nextdoor, and I've got many other endorsements too, so.
Thank you, Mr. Raquel.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Luis Velasquez?
I would strongly urge the city to be planting native trees. PG&E actually has a list of native trees that don't interfere with their easements when you have power lines, They also have deep roots that go down rather than spread wide. They're going to last longer. We're not going to have as many issues as we've had with trees that stressed from the climate change, and they benefit our pollinators. So I would really urge you to develop a list of native trees that you can circulate to the city and the residents. The second part of this is the water management, the external water management, flood control. The development down by the station does not look like it has adequate flood control, and we saw that happen on Rollins. So please, in anything that you're doing, make sure that the developers include that in their plan. That it's not just swales, it's things like baffles underground.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. And just point of clarification, for the flood of MILLBRAE Avenue on October 23rd, 24th, Burlingame had removed our shared pumps and hadn't replaced the pumps, so they had no pumps working there. Pumps are working, and we did great through these last, but it's a good point. Thank you.
Okay, time for a vote, but let's have a brief discussion, and then we'll take a break after the vote. A brief discussion on the easily combinable ones. And what I'd like to do is have someone make the suggestion who wrote them as goals, and the other person to agree. So that, we don't need everyone's comments. We need to have, for example, Madam Mayor, you said two of them were yours that were perhaps combinable. And maybe one of you ladies could be up and draw lines, so, and then I would put, like if it's number 1 and number 7, put 1 and then put number 7 next to it so that we know. Okay, so, and Ann, you had a couple that you thought.
Easily, I would say 2 and 8 have to do with the water, going recycled water.
Okay.
It's also an aspect of 6, but let's just
Okay,
do 2
let's
and
do
8.
2 and 8. Does
But I
any-
see 6, 7.
Wait, don't, let's one at a time so we can get this right. 2 and 8, are those both yours? Are they?
2 is mine, 8 is not.
Who did 8? Are you willing to combine them?
Yeah.
Okay, 2 and 8 will be combined. 2 and 8. Next suggestion.
It's all the street paving, the road diet one, and
What's the
I'm willing to.
Number, please.
Oh, I'm looking. Number 12, number 15,
Number 12.
number 11.
Did you do any of those?
No, I didn't do any of those, except they all fit in what I meant by number 3. I just added plantings
All right.
instead of just sidewalks and
Would
street.
everyone please look at number,
It's 11, and I may
12,
not be getting
say
these
12.
right. They all have to do with sidewalks.
I think 6, 7, and 11. I have 6 and 7. I think 6, 7, and 11 combined.
6, 7, and
You have 11.
Yeah. And to be honest, 10. They all have to do with streets, sidewalks.
6, 7, 10, and 11.
Well, Angie had a few more. I had 6, 7, 10, and you added 11. But to be honest, and 15, the monument sign we're working on, that's another one that the monument sign is in progress.
Okay, I'd like to, just from the standpoint of the technical stuff, Tom, could those be combined?
Yeah.
And-
I wrote some of these
Okay, go ahead.
too. So now so I do think 15 and 12 are somewhat different. 15 is the El Camino Restoration Diet, and I think we do have part of a plan there, and I do think that fits in, 12 and 15 fit in those. And then I had also had
Wait,
number.
fit in those, what does that mean?
Fit together.
I need numbers,
Fit
okay.
12 and
15 should be
15
one.
go together here. I also had, as a separate note.
Okay,
So,
just let me ask a question. So
Sure.
everybody's clear. So you wrote 12 or 15 or both?
I wrote both.
Okay, so 12 and 15 we can combine. Because she wrote them. Yes.
I didn't write number 5, but it's also about El Camino and the Airways. Do we want to mix that with the other, number 12, that is the El Camino?
I believe that would work, yes.
5 and 12, 5 and 12.
5 as well, yeah.
5, 12,
That's what
and
we were just
15.
saying.
So 5 plus 12
And 15,
and 15,
right, those would go together.
plus 12 plus 15.
And then, if I might, I do think we have several that fall under infrastructure improvements that are listed throughout here. I listed them as infrastructure improvements, and so we
So
have
that's
many.
number 6.
Number 6, if we could grow off number 6, I think we
Okay.
have many that would fall under those. So that would be, when I say streets, it's street paving, so that's number 7. Number 10, yeah, those would also fall together on that. I think there are certain ADA regulations are in place there. And so number 11, yes, would also go under number 6.
So you have 6, 7, 10, and 11. Will you take a second, please, and look at those? Does that work for you, Tom? We're
Yeah.
skipping you. and you're-
Well, no, so 3, 7, 5, 6, 11, 10, and 15 kind of all come together. So what I'm hearing from the council is El Camino Real and the redesign is very important, and then there's elements to that. Safe sidewalks, bioswales, trees, kind of a 360 design of not just El Camino, but also our streets and our image in what we do. So that's how I'm hearing it.
I kind of separated that out. When we're talking infrastructure, I do think we did forget something very important by the public.
Let me just, I think infrastructure is different. I'm talking about the
Oh.
design of El Camino. So the infrastructure of prioritizing water, sewer, streets, I think that is separate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I do think the one thing we missed, and I meant to put in here, is what was recommended by the public is flooding prevention.
Mhm.
Because flooding is very, I don't see it here.
Item number
I think we
9.
all
Or
think-
somebody put, one of the council, put item 9, stormwater fee strategies, I would
Okay,
include.
is that where we get it? Okay.
And perhaps, Tom, you could suggest combinations that work within the structure in the office and to see if everyone,
Yeah, I'm getting what the city
do you
council is
want to
saying
take a
when we can
break
organize
and
this.
think through?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Well, do we need help? Because I'm not exactly sure how to put my numbers, given that we've combined quite a few, and I think all the combinations are
And then you could write on
great.
your sheet when Tom says.
I think if you read it and you put it on one, we can combine that with.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, it drops
yeah.
it.
So just be sure not to put the same dot on similar ones, because we'll combine it.
One question before I let Anders go. The stormwater fee for the public, we all pay in our property tax a stormwater fee that's collected by the county. It has not been changed since it was created. So it has not kept up with inflation. It's not kept up with anything. So at the county level, with CCAG Gina as our representative of CCAG, I think they've been talking about it. It would have to be a measure to the voters to change that one. It's not, unless we do our own, and I'm not sure we can do our own.
We could do our own. And so the amount of revenue we collect, just so the council knows, is $160,000 a year. So it's.
You don't
Nothing.
fix many pipes. And what we're learning with atmospheric rivers is a lot of our pipes have been resized with all the work we've been doing, but the pipes aren't big enough to handle the new flow of water. So it's going to take a lot, and you're going to hear me talking about green infrastructure, and it's one of the reasons why we have a moratorium on fake grass. Every hard surface we put on any property in Millbrae is going to throw water farther down the hill. So we're going to have to approach it in many avenues. Many ways. Thank you. Sorry, I took mayor privilege.
Sorry, today you don't get it. That's the problem.
For the grade separation on number 14, I didn't put that in, but can we get some clarification on what's, yeah, could you, Gina, you want to give more detail?
Yes, so we're looking at possibly combining, getting funding throughout the county for grade separations, which would require just more engagement from our city as to what our grade separation needs are. And I do think that would fit into the, an RFP for the east side as we're talking, because that's what is impacted there the most.
Right.
So I think those two. So it would be, if we're going to do an RFP, and we could include some preliminary study there, then we would work with our senator and Congress to hopefully get funding for that aspect of the impact. That was
Right.
my goal.
Right, okay, so I would agree with that. That's something, many of our neighboring city has been quite successful in getting a lot of that, and I think we need to be
It's been
part
10
of that.
years of trying to get funding for Burlingame, so.
I
We're
understand.
hoping to advance that so all the cities.
That's
can
right,
get
that's
that.
right.
Yes.
And so, and I think part of that, I've identified the Murchison as part of the locations where grade separation should and could happen. And I was hoping that we could put those two together. That should be one of
I think it's
those.
3.
If I
At
may,
least.
so I think this is a good conversation. So Hemlock and Center Street, right? And I think that would then go into the East Side specific plan. Murchison, then I think, yes, as part of grade separation, needs to be studied comprehensively, but then I would separate that. That's in our general plan, circulation element already, but no funding for the study. So just to put out, so if it is a priority, Murchison, yeah.
So I just want to make sure that as we look forward to grade separations, we can identify those grade separation location so that we know how to prioritize those initiatives.
Yeah, and Councilman, what I'm hearing, I mean, obviously, we've talked a lot about Center Street, Hemlock, and Murchison. So it would be those three as I would recommend that we look at.
Yeah.
So are you suggesting a combination of which numbers?
14 and 17?
I don't have a 17.
Yeah, 17's on the wall.
It's a newly added one on the wall.
What's it say?
Yeah, it's Hemlock, not Hemlock, it's Murchison grade separation.
But yeah, 14, I mean, it would be a good idea for 14 to be more defined in terms of the locations at which you would focus on, at least at the beginning of it.
I
Okay,
got
so we can
lost.
expand on it.
I got lost.
So Gina, I'm saying number 14?
Yeah.
Would be easier if there is some identification as to which part of the city that you're looking to do grade separation with?
And that's why I thought it might fit into the RFP creation for the east side, because that impacts that whole arena. So 4, 14, and 17, I guess?
But Murchison is outside of the specific, east side specific plan
Oh, is
area.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but what we can do is, we'll write up there the three, if the council agrees that these are the 3 crossings that we need to look at, then we'll just combine those with 14.
Yeah.
So 14 and,
So 14 is not being combined with number 4, the East Side Specific Plan?
I would suggest that it would be.
I would suggest it would.
Yeah, yeah, I think 2 of the grade separation projects would be, and then the one outside on Murchison.
The reality
Would be
is we have a
separate.
neighborhood with only one way in and out, and we have to fix that.
No, I get it. I just, if we can focus, I totally understand. But the goal would be how we prioritize in the funding. And I think, not to put words in anybody's mouth, it's study those 3. The 2 would be in the East Side Specific Plan. And if the East Side Specific Plan is a priority, then obviously that by definition would be the priority. And then we would seek funding for Murchison overcrossing, which is an identified policy in the general plan, by the way. So as we implement the general plan and circulation over years, because I'm anticipating that we will see a significant amount of development on the south side of MILLBRAE Avenue, especially on that east side of El Camino,
Yes.
where the bank is, all the way to the Burlingame city limit line. So between the railroad tracks and El Camino Real,
Between the
that
banks and the
provides
whole-
us an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just wanted to
study.
emphasize, these grade separation project is not something we can do on our own most of the time. We would rely on some heavy funding from the state and the feds as well.
I do believe, if I may,
Yeah.
I do believe we have to start the process.
We
that
do.
We know we need to address that, because the initial responsibility falls on the cities.
Absolutely, I agree. But what I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to get at is, I understand those 3 locations, right? Center Street, and also Murchison and Hemlock, all 3 of them, they're all important. But it's not something that it's not as easy as, okay, we put it on the plan, it's going to get done. We put it on the strategic goal, and then we go on and get funding for it before these work can actually happen.
And
I understand I'm hesitant because the Broadway overpass, granted it's a Cadillac of an over or underpass, is about $345 million. So I hear you, and I'm happy to include it into that study, Tom, but Center Street is a higher priority than Murchison.
well,
You have a
again,
neighborhood that if the train tracks are closed or a train accident, we can't get an ambulance into them. There are a
if I
subject
might,
of priorities
for
here.
all my colleagues, is that the real goal for MILLBRAE is to look at all of them. So we
Right.
could package possible ones. We definitely need a new one that probably nobody's even identified in
Yes.
the neighborhood district, because there's only one way in. So we may end up with more. So it would be opening the door to what MILLBRAE's needs are, what our residents' needs are in every neighborhood along that line. So you're not necessarily committing, but the idea is to get up front as to what MILLBRAE needs.
That's correct.
So perhaps the goal is
Excuse me,
include the
wait,
grade separation.
No,
I know,
let's-
we're-
Include the
let's
grade
stop for
separation
just a
projects
second.
in all of our planning documents appropriately as we proceed.
That's correct.
Okay.
And
Okay.
depending where the funding actually happens, right? So that's when, and I
Okay.
agree that they're all important, and I agree with that. It's just whether or not funding is available for those projects to move ahead.
Okay.
All right, wait a
We're in-
minute.
We've got an hour left, and we're on our second initiative. So
Yes.
clearly, we're going to be going to 5 o'clock on Tuesday.
And just to remind you all, there's a lot of interrupting going on, and we need to just not do that. Almost, and I wonder if we should take our break, and this, number 6, infrastructure improvements, is like, we need an org chart. It's like the head of a lot of things with subsets coming off. Would that help to see that on the white flip chart? And then say, yes, we can combine all of them? Because are you going to try then, if they're all added into this, which ones will you do first? What will you let go? I mean, it's a bit of a problem. Well,
So-
and I'd like
Yeah, I
to
mean,
hear
that's a
from
very
Tom.
generic goal that when we bring back the capital improvement program to the city council, they will have another opportunity within the
Okay.
CIP to say, yeah, we want to,
Okay.
we want
So it's
we want
not
to.
important to, if we can combine them, it's not going to have.
Yeah, not really. I mean, that's a goal, but that's always, I mean, that's kind of what cities do, right? And so we will always have that at the forefront. And then the priorities will come in any given year. Hey, we need more in sewer this year than water. We need more in streets
Right.
this year than, yeah.
Right. Okay, so does anyone want to make the final recommendation on the combination? Under plus number 6, plus number 7?
Do you need, here,
I think we ended up with 6, 7, 10, 11. That was it.
Okay, so we just want to, let's draw a little circle around 6, 7, 10, and 11, just so that, no, I mean a big one, sorry. So everybody knows that this is going to be part of number 6. And so let's take a break and then vote, okay, and you all can.
so
And
Kathy,
I'm
how
sorry, go
long?
ahead.
We're at 12:03.
12:03, how about 12:15?
That long a break?
Oh, I can do 5 minutes, but I think.
How about a 5-minute break? Let's be back at 12:08.
Helping.
Helping just combine and help.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Is that cool?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
they got the pins up there.
If everyone could come back, if we could reconvene, please. Oh, well. And it's okay, to me, it's okay, Tom, if it does.
Well, last time, I mean, we had all-day sessions, and a lot of times it does take a full day. So.
Well, 3 hours is a lot, given that the first hour was kind of setting the framework.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're not going to get everything done. We'll be lucky to get.
Those are the combined ones that I should reference.
Where's number 9? Boulevard Council, weekly costs.
All back. We are almost, did everyone except me and Angie vote? Well, because they got combined.
I count that as a break. That was them.
Is green, you get 3 points. Second choice, blue, 2 points. Third choice, yellow, 1 point. And just so you know, those that have been combined, the big infrastructure, many are coming under that, have been circled in a big, with a magic marker.
Okay.
Do I see 15 things up there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Somebody didn't put all theirs up.
We'll just keep 1, or 2 and 8.
I'm just getting 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Okay.
13. Somebody didn't, 14, 15. They're all over the place. All right, okay. So we have number 1. 6. I need my, number 1 has 6 points.
I'm going to repeat the number you read out.
Number 1 has 6.
Number 6, okay. 1
Just
has
put
6.
6 up. Be great.
2 has 0.
2 has 0, and 2 is combined with 8. And number 3, 0.
Okay.
Number 4, 4 points.
Stupid sheet.
5 has combined with 12 and 15, so we'll come back to that. 6, 7, 10, and 11. So we've got, I might as well do this. So 5, 12, and 15. 12 has 2, 15 has 3, so that's 5 total for number 5, 12, and 15. Okay? 6, 7, 10. We've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 11. That's it, 8 points. Seven was a combo. 8 and 2, 0. 9, 0. 10 is part of 6, which is total of 8. 11 is part of 6, total 8. 5 and 15 and 17 we did. 13 is 0. 14 is 0. 14, ooh, sorry, thank you. Glad you're on me. This is great. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Great separations.
7.
What happened to 12? 12 is part of 5 and 15, and that's a total of 5.
That's a total of 5.
And 17, right? 17, got it. Okay. I think that's it. 16 is 0.
Okay.
And 17 is part of 5 and 15. So this is good in the sense. Oh, is that 12?
5, 12, and 15.
15. So 17 has 0. Okay. All right. So number 1, 6 points. The winner is number 6, 8 points, which these guys are together. 8,
And
6.
then number 14 is 7.
Number 14 is 7, and number 4 is 4. Got that. So that's not bad. We'll put the 4 up, and we'll end up taking off 1. Does that make sense? Let's just go over it again. So number 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 points. Number 2 is with number 8. That's 0. Both 2 and 8 are 0. 3 is 0. 4 is 4 points. 5 is number 5, 12, and 15. 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 points. 6 is 6, 7, 10, and 11. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 points. 9 is 0. 10 is combined, already mentioned. 11 is combined. 12 is combined, already mentioned. 13 is 0. Number 7 is, number 14. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. 15 was part of another one. 16 is 0, and 17 is 0. Impressive. Good job. Okay, we're ready to move on. Quality of life, neighborhood enhancement, and strong community. Yes.
Right now, then, is moving into strategic initiative number 3. I have one public comment. I have a public comment for strategic initiative number 5. We're not going to, I think
That'll be
It's
Tuesday.
reasonable that we're going to try to get through strategic initiative number 3.
Right.
And then when we reconvene at 5 o'clock on Tuesday, we'll start with strategic initiative number 4, 5, 6, and then we'll come back and look at all of these either on Tuesday or at a third meeting on that. So-
Okay, so before we have our public speaker, I'd like to hear from you all. Which initiative is your most important and why? And who'd like to go first?
And for the
Just to kind of frame everything, we, again, as I mentioned earlier, that we have to have an equitable lens as we're talking. It seems like each step, when anything comes up or has to do with the east side, there's no balance. And I think we just always have to at least think about the lack of voice, lack of representation historically, and maybe give some deference to the east side.
And you all have only recently become districts, is that
Right.
correct? So, and this is a growing stage.
Right.
And something to certainly keep.
So
in
as you're
mind.
saying, hey, one might drop, yeah, it may
That's
drop
right.
based on votes, but
Keep it in mind.
we might need to
Well,
balance that out
and
somehow.
we may put some of those in the parking
Yeah.
lot. Because we'll go over all of them
Exactly.
at
That makes
the end
sense.
and say what should be there.
Yeah.
Okay? Thank you, Maurice. Any strong ones that you want to push? You're looking at the wrong board. Turn around.
Oh.
16, we're starting with 16 unless another one was added. Oh,
Yeah,
we've got
17.
17 in this category. So if people could be looking at any that might combine.
Did you have a speaker card on this?
I do, but
On this
usually
one?
we go through what we think
Okay.
is most important,
All right.
and then the speaker. I'm giving you time to get home.
Sure, you want a minute to read through them? Of course. No, please, I understand.
And then for the community's benefit,
I've looked at them several times and I'm still going, oh my gosh. Yes.
Perhaps we can go over.
So let's put the slide
So-
deck up.
yes, slide, and for the public's
three.
benefit, we're starting with slide 24, then 25, 26, 27, and 28.
And one addition to 28.
Do we have anybody on Zoom?
Oh, 2 additions, so
Zoom
there
have
are
this up.
18.
Slide 27, I think.
Boy, when I looked at these last night, it didn't seem like we had
There's
so
10
many.
people on Zoom. What? Oh, there are 10 people on Zoom. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay, here we go. Number 1, we have 16 on this, you all. We're going to scurry right through it. Everybody's been practicing earlier, and now we're going to create something incredibly efficient. City conducts traffic calming activities, working on data collection, etc. Number 2, expand city pilot program. Public Works, I assume, WPW, where city bids for sidewalk repair, etc. Number 3, expand adopt a spot to each neighborhood. That's great. And roll out city landscape guidelines. Okay, next slide, please. Number 4, host at least one district meeting per year to identify localized issues and report to council and how they fit with the city goals. Number 5, work with school districts and private schools to encourage walking and biking, etc. Number 6, develop a plan to hold SFO, Caltrain, Camtrans, etc., accountable for noise, air, and ground pollution, and for historic lack of mitigation leading to the degradation of MILLBRAE neighborhoods. Number 7, omni-channel personalized communication with residents. 8, transparency to the community on timelines and status of projects. 9, enhance east to west transportation. Number 10, traffic calming. I think that's a combo we can do. 11, collaborative community calendar. 12, safe sidewalks. 13, efforts to increase safety. 14, continue and enhanced programs to service the needs of unhoused people. 15, child care funding fees from all new developments, including airport land use. Number 16, utilize high school and school resources tracks, pools, tennis courts, et cetera. A lot, but there are some clearly that can be defined, and yes, exactly, go ahead.
More on the wall.
Oh, one more, you're absolutely right, I'm so sorry. Mills Estate Park, 17, outreach and renovation, an LHTF grant funding for affordable housing preservation. A lot to be done. Wow. Okay. Now, yes, Ann.
I just wanted to start this off. I wrote number 1. I'm wondering if the person who wrote number 2 would be okay with combining 1 and 10, and just scratch out 10. It's all traffic calming.
Yeah.
And then number 12.
Wait, don't go too fast.
Okay.
Let's get it up on the board.
So if number 10, if the number
10
10
is
is
gonna be
okay.
crossed off.
So let's cross out 10 because it's covered in 1, and there might be other
Just
traffic
cross up
calming.
through the line through it so nobody's tempted. Yeah, thank you.
Number 12, safe sidewalks, repair and accessibility wheelchair strollers, is also in strategic initiative number 2 and received 8 points.
Okay, so it's
is it
safe.
okay if we could cross out number 12?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. That's the 2 that I've looked at so
Okay.
far to see if there were any ways of simplifying.
And Gina?
Madam Mayor, if I might come
Go ahead, please.
So, one thing here, so number 15 is actually over there with the fiscal funding, childcare fees and stuff.
Right, it's part of where we needed to do a nexus study to add it to our
So
fees.
that-
So
I
who
don't
wrote
think-
that? The question is which
Well, I
initiative
think
do you
I
want
wrote
to?
that, but I didn't put it under this one. It would be more appropriately in the fees section.
Okay,
Talk about
and-
fees is what I'm
So
trying to
are
say.
you okay moving it over to fees?
Yeah.
Okay, so
There.
cross off number 15.
But
That's-
put move to FI, Strategic Initiative 5.
And then 2 things that were on my list that didn't make it, that do fit in here. Parking issues. So we have residents, mobile home parking. There are businesses going on within our city where people are actually renting their cars out, but parking them on the street for other people. So that one somehow didn't make it, but I do believe this is the quality of life in our neighborhoods that I'm getting a bunch of calls about, and I don't see it anywhere up here.
And you didn't put that on yours, or is
Oh,
it
I
just
did.
missing?
Everything, we'll find it.
No, I just looked,
Everything is,
but I do think.
or just add it. That's more efficient then.
Just add it, then.
Okay.
Here, put it on over here, Gina. Put it on over here, I'll bring it over.
Or we can do that. I mean, I could probably put it there.
Okay, put it there.
So, fine.
Great,
I'll put it
perfect.
there.
Thank you.
And then the other thing was, again, trash and litter in our downtown. We fought years to get a littering ordinance, and I still think that's an issue that the community needs to deal with. So this one or that one, if you could.
Gina?
I wouldn't number.
Since this is my field, it's a code enforcement issue. We've got the ordinance, so
And I would like to see
can
it
we
enforced.
lump it, yeah, can we,
There's more of an emphasis.
well, we've got a bunch of enforcement issues, especially if the fake grass law gets signed, gets through up in Sacramento. Is there a way we can combine that to increase code enforcement?
I would like to be specific. And I'm looking for, you
Okay.
said we have enforcement somewhere? I was just trying to.
Enforcement might be on city government organization.
Well,
Is
it's
that-
very, I agree with the councilwoman that code enforcement neighborhood, it fits there.
And then we also have one over there.
But, Tom, for code enforcement, to me, the worst of the downtown is probably the businesses and the apartments. Historically, since this is my field, they tend to use city garbage containers, which then overflow. That's an enforcement issue of existing laws, both with South City Scavenger and with code enforcement. Do we need it as a goal, or can we simply add it to the workload of one of the committees or commissions
Well, if
do
the,
an outreach effort.
no, I think it needs to be a goal because
Okay.
we only have one resource there. And so if it's a high priority and we need to add resources, then yeah, I need to know that. So then when we build our budget, we can add an
Staffing.
FTE.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready to everybody pitch?
So I think Gina needs to see this as an additional item up there. Where's Gina to add it as I would say, enforcement of litter and solid waste recycling laws. Does that work? Can we add it somewhere?
She's right.
Okay.
Great.
So
Okay.
just for the benefit of the council, but we do enforce those. We do.
I'm just going to say for the record here, we only have to enforce like the cigarette butts once to send a message, and we've never, ever done it. And I know it takes time out of law enforcement, but we need to be known as a city. If you do that here, then you're going to be fined. It's just, we talk about it time after time, and you still see butts flicked everywhere.
I mean, it's that one. What I see, Tom, worse is the abuse of the garbage enclosures on the alley, which really makes the alley pretty disgusting. And once there's one dump, then more dumps happen. It's the function of illegal dumping. It's like graffiti. You clean it up immediately or it gets worse.
Okay, I want to hear some pitches.
Thank you.
Anders?
Okay, who's defending?
So can I just get clarification
Yes.
on some of the things? Some of the items here could benefit from some explanation. For example, and it's not specific, right?
I'll bet you.
Like efforts to increase safety. I'm pretty sure it's easy to people to agree to it, but what does that mean? And
Who wrote that?
Between 7, 9, 11, and 13, I would love to hear some more specifics and more clarification on those, please.
All right. Who wrote number 7? Omni-channel personalization communication with residents. What does
So
that mean?
I wrote a lot of the general things. For number 7, the omni-channel personalized communication, I think we're on the start of that. We've really enhanced our e-communication with folks and our social media. But I think we're learning that residents really respond to different communications. I've done canvassing around the park projects with folks, and I brought my flyer that came in the mail, said, you got this in the mail, right? And over 50% said, no, I didn't get that, but we know they did.
Yeah.
And then you have the people that got that, but will never use email. So really looking at how we're using multi-channels to reach our folks. We're getting a new email system, or if we're able to look at more personalized communications of this is happening in this neighborhood, let's reach out to these folks this way. But just enhancing our communication and interaction with residents, enhancing east to west transportation. I don't know a lot of what our specific options are in that area at this point, but we know that north to south, we have really great transportation. But if you live up near 280 trying to get down to downtown or here at the community center, or if you live in Marina Vista or Bayside Manor and you're trying to get kids to the community center for after school programs and don't have transportation, or you're senior or different abilities and can't drive anymore, what are your options to get to those places? And that's pretty limited.
Maurice, you had a question, I think.
Yeah, I was wondering, could that be all housed under community engagement, number 4, 7, 8, and 11? I think number 4 is host at least one district. Number 4 being hosting a district meeting to identify local issues.
So combined with?
Number, under community engagement. So she was saying how that they're general, but that general, could we combine?
And so what do you think about that, Angelina?
4, 7, 8, and 11, I like that.
I wrote 4. I'm happy with that.
Okay, 4, 7, 8, 11. Woo. Good job. Love it. All right. Were your questions answered, or were there more out there?
That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
Thank
Great.
you.
Okay. Now, Anders, please.
11 and 13, I'm sorry.
4, 7, 11, 8, and 11.
I'm trying to get clarification on what 11 and 13 is.
Yep.
Okay.
So again, I wrote 11. Over time, we've seen different things overlap, and we have so many incredible organizations across the city putting on great events. One big example I can think of is, I believe, last year, the MILLBRAE Cultural Committee had to change how they did their Mid-Autumn Festival because the calendars weren't coordinated, and it would have meant two closures of the streets too close together, so they had to move it and rename it because it didn't really fall during that holiday anymore. So just working together as a community to have those calendars so that people don't miss out on those opportunities, and working together on that.
Maybe change it.
And then again, with 13, it's general, more as a goal, and then once having that as a goal, looking more deeply at what are the ways that we would address safety more specifically. So.
And Gina, you had a question or comment?
Yeah, a couple comments along those lines. So I think what we're looking for, because through the years we have encouraged organizations, we need a repository for these organizations to submit their events. And I think their public information officer, that would be it. And if we had established some standardization of, please submit your events in advance, we can get them on a community calendar. Because the mayor has a coordinating committee, and I just think we need to formalize in order to achieve that opportunity. Now, you can't force people to do things, but that would be a good resource there. And then when we talk about public safety here, is that?
You're talking about 13?
Yes, so you've got number 13, and you got so many again. I'll need a minute.
So maybe a little point of clarification might help the discussion on that. So we are working on a special event ordinance that we'll be bringing to the city council. Because our special events is, we get an application in, we already have an application process, and then we'll reject that saying, well, that date's not available. And then that's when people come back and, well, I got to change the date. Well, they never applied. We didn't even know. We can't put it on the calendar if we don't know. And we don't know until they apply. But now we're going to have a special event ordinance that says, these are the dates and festivals that the city council recognizes. These are the times that we're going to close the streets. We're going to, propose to the city council that we limit the amount per year per organization that you write off on special events. So that's forthcoming to get some
And I would add that
substance behind that.
the Mayor's Coordinating Council, again, for the public, meets on the fourth Thursday at 8:30 in the morning. And we do have a process that every group that has a flyer, even if it's an event that doesn't involve street closure, they send it to the city clerk and to our PIO. It's advertised, it's on the agenda, how to do it, and we are trying to standardize that. And we are trying to get all of them to realize not to put their events on top of each other. And you would have seen a city council meeting, it was March 27th, where we approved 13 events all at one time, trying to do it all at one time, get it done. It helps staff because they know how to plan their workload over the year. But the other thing that I did my first time as mayor is add a lot of community groups. We still have some community groups that don't know that we have this, so we welcome community groups, and it's on the website. And one of the reasons community groups to join us is you get a little blurb, you get an abstract on the city website.
That's great. Great.
Where would compliance fit in that
Compliance
process?
of-
Meaning that if you're a for-profit, a nonprofit, that you're in good standing with the Secretary of State, you're in good standing with the department or the Attorney General's office with regards to your filings. I know we just recently were looking at waiving fees for someone, and then just doing a quick search, they're not even compliant with filing their annual tax. Well, I found.
Business license.
So it's just certain things. So where would that fit in this
Two different things.
conversation?
Two different business licenses that we always check.
Not
that
a
they have a
business
business.
license.
Yeah.
It's the filings and making sure that they're making sure that they're up to date with
And
making sure that we
transparent.
can see what we should be able to see if you were to just do a quick search.
Gina?
Go ahead, Gina. And just a time
So
check.
I think number 1, which is traffic calming, relates to number 13. and number 10. And I would like to make sure we include, as we said, I don't know how many times our resident has appeared here, the dangerous intersection. He's got now over 100 signatures. We need to have some accountability and address these concerns.
So we have studied that. Sam is in the process of studying that again. In the past, well, it just hasn't met the warrants for a dedicated single left turn lane. So we're studying it again and we're taking a look at it.
It'd be nice if you could tell him, because he's waited so long and risked his life, I don't know how long. So I think those would combine.
Would you make 13 the one to vote on and
No.
put 100?
No.
How would you do it?
It would be one is 10 and 13.
Combined, right.
Okay?
And
Does
then
everyone?
I would like to address the one I added here, which is the parking issues.
Okay.
Throughout.
Do you want to give your pitch?
Sure,
Are we into
love
pitches
to.
now? But let's just make sure Bitsy understands. So you're going to do,
So we're beginning the pitches.
yeah, but that's okay because you could just put number 1 plus 10 and 13. And I'd cross off 13 because we know that we're adding that. And that way nobody will vote for it. Okay. All right.
So quality of life in our neighborhoods is being negatively impacted by parking issues. We have people parking mobile homes. Oh, sorry, that's right, excuse me. Okay, quality of life has been impacted by the parking issues. So we have mobile homes parking in certain areas, we have boats distributed throughout. This is something, and we also have businesses going on, which I'm sure don't have a business license. So there is somebody in MILLBRAE who has a bunch of cars, they park on the street, you can download an app and check out this person's car. That is really, impacting where residents can park, where their guests can park. I don't have a solution to that, but it is a problem. And I get complaints all the time from people. So we need to address these parking issues within our neighborhoods. So I would like to see, I don't think that's a big costly thing. I think it's just a matter of enforcement and somehow figuring out how we deal with those illegal businesses that are happening.
Gina, just so that if you look at Strategic Initiative 5 under Economic Development, number 11, it's review business licenses, clarify at-home businesses, try to clean that whole up. But it crosses categories.
This is like neighborhood impact, though. That's why I brought it up
But that's
here.
neighborhood impact. We have an incredible number of home-based businesses, many of which are not officially filed, or they're filed but don't pay their taxes. So, yeah, there's a lot of work to be done there.
I have my business license, so yeah, I'm not sure how, Madam Mayor, you would do that, but.
In the interest of time.
Yeah.
Let's
So
go ahead and
I would
pitch.
like to leave it here, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Thank you.
Anders, how about you?
Oops, a couple of things. Thank you for the clarification. I think, it's important to, put in effort to increase safety and some of the other transportation, but I think
Into
we've spoken quite a bit of that in the previous strategic goal. Some of the things that I think it's important here, and I think we've already made some headways as a city. We all agree that affordable housing is extremely important here, so that's why I've identified, working with the regional board, such as the Housing Endowment Fund, putting together a program where we can go get some grant funding from the state, which is what the LHTF funding is, for housing preservation. So we could make some headway in addressing the low to very low income housing needs that we have. So I think that needs to be a priority in the sense that, because we can get additional resources from the state, right? So we should not overlook these opportunity here. And I think also at the same time, in terms of quality of life, there's a park up in Mills Estate where we've already made quite a bit of investment and time on staff time to put together some consensus among the neighborhood as to what they see needs to be done. Most of our parks needs a lot of work. And we're fortunate that all these new development that came in have a lot of park impact fees, and we need to appropriate them appropriately and equitably across the city so that every neighborhood gets to have the park that need to be redeveloped. So I think those are the priorities that I think is important.
Thank you, thank you. And you did that in less than 2 minutes. Let's keep, we're rushing now, you all. Who would like to go next? Angelina?
I think I will speak to the combination of 4, 7, 8, and 11. I know there's so much of the concrete work of our quality of life and our physical space. I think these really speak to our interpersonal relationships between our city staff, our council members, our community organizations, all of our residents, enhancing how we all interact with each other, get information, build that community trust, awareness, and a sense of community. So,
Thank you, great.
I'll just say ditto to that, just in sake of time.
Good, thank you.
I'm looking at the ones, number 5 was really, it's a subset of traffic calming, because when the schools aren't pushing their kids to ride or bike, or parents don't feel safe letting them walk to school, then they are significant input on a number of streets. So if it's okay, it's mine, I'd like to add 5 to 1, 10, and 13. And traffic calming, especially for my district, District 3, is probably that and the unhoused are the top 2 issues on there. But I'm going to also pitch for number 2. Number 2 was a pilot project that the city started before COVID hit. And what happened is public works staff went through and looked at all of the sidewalks and marked which ones were dangerous, and then went out to every resident and said, the city will manage the contract. You don't have to pay a permit. You don't have to get a permit. You'll pay for the cost of the cement. And we did basically many, many unsafe sidewalks as a public-private partnership. And I would like to bring that back for all the neighborhoods, but it especially is important for the neighborhoods that have street trees, because the street trees are what have lifted up the sidewalks, which make it extremely dangerous for so many people to be able to walk. So I'm going to be pushing for number 1 for traffic calming, and number 2 for this, bringing this project back. I believe staff has the bandwidth. We hear it all the time for the people who would love the city to come back and trim the trees. Just tell us what it costs, and you get, it's cheaper because you're doing it by bulk.
Right.
So number 2 is a way of doing things by bulk and bringing the cost down for everyone.
Good, thank you. Okay, we've done Maurice use it. Okay, sit up. All right, let's vote. We're going to make it. We're going to make it through 3. So, just to remember, 3 is your number 1, 3 points for your number 1 green vote. Your number 2nd choice is blue, 2 points. 3rd choice is 1 yellow.
And it was okay to move.
And we moved
5 to 1.
I believe that's been done.
It'll have to be trimmed a little bit, but
5, I can add
Just
5.
up on 1, just say plus, add 5, and 5.
And then crosses out?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
And before we add these up, do we have comments from the public? I forgot, I'm sorry.
oh, I'm sorry, we do. My apologies.
No, and I
Yes, we do have, we have Louise Velasquez, and she should be online on that. I'm sorry, Louise.
Me too.
If you could just join us.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, very well. Please go ahead.
I'm here.
You're good to go.
We can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to say that, like the point that Maurice made about social equity and inclusion, the lens that we see all of these things, infrastructure, the quality of life, stewardship, should be seen through the lens of what are we doing to make sure that we're improving our natural environment and our habitat, because it influences so many aspects of it. It's something that should become a part of the fabric of the way the city thinks about it. And the way you think about contracting out for the parks and for these other projects, whether it be the trees, whether it be the medians, the sidewalk strips, and all of that, is how do we do that in a way that's environmentally responsible, that is creating pollinator habitat. When I walked out of the recreation center, there's a planting of some plants which are drought tolerant and some of them native, but it's not planted in a way that it's really creating pollinator habitat.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
I would just ask that you start to include that in your outlook and way of thinking.
Thank you, Ms. Velasquez.
Thank you so much,
I have no other
Louise.
cards. Do we have anybody online?
Is
Okay.
there anyone online that would like to say something and we don't have a card from you? If so, speak up.
That was it.
I think, and then close public comment.
All right. Public comment is closed for this initiative, and I believe the voting is almost done.
Somewhere where it is.
I think we need four more tags up there.
Where's Eduardo? Eduardo is me. So this is.
You know, I love double-sided paper, but it makes it really hard to flip back and forth.
There it is.
Okay.
Darn those enviros.
All right, you all. Let's see where we are. So number 1, which includes 5, 10, and 13, has 7 points. Number 2, pardon me? Oh, no, go ahead. Number 2 has 4 points. Number 3 has 0. Number 4, which includes 4, 7, 8, and 11, has a 2 point plus 11. 3, 6, 7, 8 total. 5 is out, or 6, 0. Omnichannel is in quiz together with 8 and 11. 4. We did that. We did that. All right, number 9, 0. 10 was included. 11 was included. 12 was included. 13 is included in 1. 14 is 0. 15 has been moved to the 5th initiative. 16, 0. 17, 0. 18, 6. 19, 0. I have an idea for that, though, so we'll talk, because I've seen something work on that. Number 20, 5. So who are our winners here?
What is 5?
5 points.
Number 20.
Number 20 is parking issues, mobile home parks, parking in the city, around the city, and people renting cars to others.
There it is. It's all right here.
All right.
She just
So we've got 7, 4, 8. We can put all these on the list, I think. We've got 6 on number 8. Okay. Number 1 combined with 5, 10, and 13, we've got 7. Number 2 is 4. Number 4, which is including 7, 8, and 11. We've got 8. We have 4 for number 11. Yeah, sorry. And number 18, we have 6. And number 20, we have 5. So we could put those all on the list, I think, and then delete one as we get to the finalization. Okay? Great job, you all. We have a lot of work to do on Tuesday. Now, I'd like to give you homework. I know you all have very full lives outside of City Council, and I'm just adding to your City Council business. If you could please look at now we have everything up here. If you could please look at the other initiatives, 4, 5, and 6. You should have them on your handouts. And look at the things ahead that could be combined. And if you have time, you could call and say, I'm willing to have mine combined with this. Could you guys take those emails, or would you rather wait and we'll just do it at the beginning?
No, we'd be happy to do that, but also...
It would save so much time.
If the direction of the City Council is to allow us on 4, 5, and 6 to go back and do that and consolidate and summarize and combine...
That's the perfect answer, yeah.
Yeah, we can do that, and I think that will...
Right.
Probably close the business day Monday.
Monday.
We'll start with 4, 5, and 6. Yeah,
Great.
and then we'll go through all of that Tuesday night. Then
Yeah.
and
And that'll save a lot of time if the combination ahead. We
So if there's
did try it
agreement, we'll
before, and there was
definitely do that.
pushback from you all. Now,
well, not this council. It was
No.
well, a majority of the council, but anyway.
Question
so
on-
it's a new
on
day.
process.
It's a new day.
yes.
Question on process. We do have a public member, and I don't know if they can attend on Tuesday. So it's on economic development. I'd rather they get that opportunity to speak now. They would also have the opportunity on Tuesday. March Colapietro, if you'd like to come up and talk about Strategic Initiative 5, or do you want to wait for Tuesday? Because I've got your speaker slip. I'm sorry, couldn't hear you.
Another slip.
Do you want to wait
come?
until?
Are you going to be able to come on Tuesday?
Or speak now, and we can hear what you said now and incorporate it in our thoughts. She would need the mic. So right now what I have is a speaker slip for Strategic Initiative number 5, Economic Development.
Thank you for this opportunity. We're just finishing enjoying and celebrating the gateway at MILLBRAE Station that is opened now and doing business. And this is a really, really excellent and great thing, and we should be looking for opportunities again. The thing that I wanted to talk about is we still have the El Camino Real from the MILLBRAE Avenue going north, where it was called, I think, before TOD1, and I can't imagine. I was looking up some information from when I was on the council, and I noticed that back on as far back as 2017, there was TOD plans put together, and I haven't seen anything about the development, and that is at Peter's Cafe and going north. And I'm wondering...
Former Mayor Colapietro, time's up on that one.
Okay.
And you had a second speaker card. Did you want to do that now? Okay. All right. Tom, do you want to give an update on TOD, anything happening on the west side, or hold off on that? Be ready for it on Tuesday.
Well, no, I can give a quick update. So that's part of the high-speed rail project and their environmental impact report that has blocked development from proceeding, and so that's litigation that the city is currently under, litigating the environmental impact report.
Thank you.
So high-speed rail is stopping, high-speed rail is stopping development from occurring at Peter's Cafe on the west side of the transit station.
And you'll take
The city, Yeah, we've taken legal action. City Council has approved 488 housing units. 15% are affordable, low income. So City Council is moving forward, city's moving forward, trying to clear the way to allow development to occur and much needed housing to occur on the west side.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you, Mayor Colapietro. With that, Kathy, you've given
Yes.
us homework assignments to really read through these.
Yes, if you
these
could, I
three.
think we'll go smoothly and quicker
And
on
if
Tuesday.
you could, perhaps, if you've got enough time between now and then, staff reports are already out, try to work on the three that we've gotten to already.
Well, what
Or
I'm
you
going
wanna
to
hold
do,
on
Mayor, is I'm going to prioritize
these
3,
three.
4, and 5.
Okay.
Or, excuse me,
4,
4,
5,
5,
and
and
6.
6, to combine those, so I can get those to
Okay.
the City Council in preparation of Tuesday, so we can finish this. And then, I think the next step, Kathy, is then take what they've done and narrow it down even further.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one idea of the ones that we've already put into the list. Some of them are parts of current projects. Some of them require brand-new funding. Do you think staff could come up with, just like you did with our accomplishments, what's in the works, what needs new funding, what needs, whatever it needs, whatever you guys look at it from a staffing and budget perspective, and then we can add that to 4, 5, and 6 when they're ready.
I think that's a great idea, and concurrence of the council, I'd be happy to do that.
Are
I
we
think
okay
that would
with
be
that,
very
Council?
helpful. Yeah.
Okay. Because I know even for those of us who've been around a little bit, we might understand, oh, well, that's already in progress, but how much more help does staff need? What more funding might we need for it? That would really help. Thank you. To staff, Kathy, do you have any closing remarks? And then I'll close us out.
I just want to thank you all for being wonderful citizens and taking this responsibility seriously. And I think that's the reason that MILLBRAE is moving forward. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you, staff, wonderful staff.
I would thank staff. We also had members of several committees sitting here. None of theirs made it to the top, so I would only encourage council to remember that we've got committees and commissions, and they take their work plan from our goals. And we have had years where there was nothing, basically their work plan was review the general plan, but the general plan wasn't ready to review. So you have committees and commissions that may not have any work to do, which actually is an agenda, is a strategic initiative possibility to really dive down into our committees and commissions and make sure that we respect our volunteers and we utilize them for all their skills and
Yes.
commitment on that. So with that, it is exactly 1:01. We will close. Thank you, staff. Thank you, everybody who helped for food today and this great room. And we will reconvene at 5 o'clock on Tuesday. Am I actually reconvening an
Where are
open?
we? Where
We're
are
not a
we?
public hearing, so just a new council.
In
No,
this
Mayor,
room?
I would, so a motion and a vote to continue this meeting to
Okay.
Tuesday, City Council Chambers, 5 p.m.
Okay, we have motion and second to reconvene to continue this meeting, goal-setting meeting till Tuesday at 5 p.m. We will be in council chambers.
Correct.
Okay.
Happen, yes.
Councilmember Pappen.
Yes, I already said.
Thank you. Councilmember Cahalan.
Yes.
Councilmember Fung. Vice Mayor Goodman. Mayor Snyder.
Aye.
The council voted to continue the meeting to May 9th at 5 p.m. Council chambers by a vote 5-0.
And I apologize. A huge shout out to MILLBRAE Community Television for everything, the extra setup. Thank you so much
Yes, you guys are
for that.
fabulous. Woo, good job. Love it.
that a goal to vote early and vote often?
Save your dots.
No, we'll take, we'll.
You want the dots back?